Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Short Game Long Talk with me, Eric.
And me, Jess.
And that was probably the quickest intro I've ever done. We're going to go right into it because I'm so excited. This is the first time we've ever played a game apart from each other. Yeah, and then come together. So we have thoughts, and I'm very excited.
Our own thoughts.
Yes, our own thoughts that we experienced separately. The game we played in a timely manner was Oxenfree, which the sequel to that just came out. And cool point real quick, Oxenfree is free on mobile if you have a Netflix account. You can just download the app, log into your Netflix account, and play the game for free. And so is the second one.
Oh, really?
So, yes. So we may be able to do Oxenfree 2 if people want that. We'll discuss that a little bit more in the spoiler section. I don't think it's like a direct sequel. I think it's just like a part of the Oxenfree
universe.
Or just like style of things. I have no idea. But this podcast is just us playing short games to fit into a busy schedule, and I think both of us beat this game in 2 sittings.
Yeah.
About 4 hours total, maybe. If you do the completionist route, I could see it being a lot longer.
Oh, yeah.
Because I stumbled upon half of the collectibles, but like I was like, no way, I'm not gonna like. You move way too slow in this game to like go searching around the whole island.
Yeah. There's no sprinting option. Exactly.
I know. I wish there was. That was like one of my big complaints. I was like, when I'm just moving around and there's not like plot happening, I should be able to just sprint. But yeah, this podcast is just, it's just 2 people playing games with busy lives. Jess's life is currently not very busy, which is, but it's about to be extremely busy. So then we'll be back into the swing of like, oh, okay, how do we fit 4 to, I guess, 25-hour games? I'm so curious when we're going to finally do a game that's 25 hours long. It might be like Pokemon or something like that, because that sometimes fits under, but yeah. This is just a podcast about playing short games to fit into a busy life so you can continue to game even when you're working full-time or doing full-time school and maybe work and like all that stuff. There's still time for it, especially with like mobile games. Like Oxenfree originally I think came out on the PlayStation, and now it's on basically everything except Xbox, I think, weirdly enough. And it's literally on your phone. If you have a Netflix account, you have Oxenfree right now. Like you can go download it and play it, which is crazy. Like it's a very cool. So like if you like what we talk about and we get to the spoiler section, you're like, wait, I don't want any spoilers. You can literally go play the game and then come back. So yeah, how would you describe this game?
It is a like spooky, like. I don't want to say like hide and go seek, but like you have to go seek out like things. It's very objective based. Like, oh, do this, then do this.
Yeah. And then there's some choice. Like it is semi-choice driven. I wouldn't say that's the whole crux of everything, but there are different endings based off of decisions.
Which I think is cool.
It is cool. We'll get further into that like in the spoiler section, but yeah, it's a side-scrolling game. Where you played it on the Switch, right? So you played it full control. I played it on my phone, and I used the touch controls at first, which is basically like you can hold in a direction, and Alex, the main character, will walk in that direction, or you can press, kind of like Monument Valley, and she'll go. And I messed around with that for a little bit, but then I was like, I don't want to keep like pressing my phone, so I just hooked up my Backbone and played through it like totally fine. And then you can interact with stuff, and then when you had stuff to do like on screen, like the winding things up.
Yes.
Did you have to touch the screen, or did you use the right stick? Okay.
Right stick.
Yeah, I just still touched the screen because that felt good. And then like the radio. Did you just have buttons to like go through that?
No, I used my left stick.
Okay. Yeah, for mine,
my right stick.
I could literally just like crank on that thing with a touch screen. It was awesome. But yeah, you go, basically the premise of the game is Alex and her new stepbrother Jonas meet up with what is it?
Ren, Clarissa, and Nona.
Yeah, on an island to do like a tradition of like going to this island, which I forget what it's called, but you can look it up. But yeah, it's not like super uber important. But it's they go to the island at night where it's a tourist island, so no one's there at night. And basically it's a situation where it's teenagers. It seems like they're like seniors in high school. Yeah. Because some of them are talking about school. Clarissa might be out of school, based off of future information we'll talk about later. But so they're just kind of doing like drugs.
Edwards Island.
Yeah. Edwards
Island.
Okay, cool. Edwards Island, which I think has some kind of like a mild plot point, I guess. But for the most part, it's just like an island that you take a ferry to. And then are they in Washington? It gave me like Washington
Oregon.
Vibes. Oregon. Okay.
Northern Oregon.
Got it. So I was close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost there.
Yeah. So that's the kind of vibe. It's very like it's nighttime. There's a lot of fog. There's not a lot of lights. This was at once a mining island, then became a military base. Now it's like a tourist attraction. So it's been through a lot.
Yeah.
And it's definitely like a situation where it's like, okay, these are just teenagers going to go have a good time and
be teenagers.
Yeah. And so one of the things we'll get into later is like it's choice driven, and it's choice driven right away based off of like it might not change too much if you say one thing or another, but if you consistently choose like to be rude or mean to a person, it affects how the game goes. And early on, it kind of showcases that by like having interactions with Jonas, your new like stepbrother.
Like this is the first time that you and Jonas are like together.
Yeah.
Without parents around.
Exactly. So you have a lot of options to be like rude to Jonas or to like be nice to him or be kind of like whatever. Like very real, you know. I have two half sisters, but they've been my half sisters before I was even born. So like it's not like a situation where I was like they married their mom married my dad or something like that. We share a mom. And so like I couldn't relate, but I've seen situations where like step siblings are like not a good mix. So it definitely, I'm very curious. Once we get to the spoiler section, we'll talk more about like decisions and whatnot. But overall, it is a spooky game.
Yeah, it terrified me.
Yeah.
The only reason I didn't finish it in one sitting, because I'm on summer break right now, so
and you started playing in the middle of the day. Yeah, so I was like, oh, okay, you're taking a break. Cool.
I started playing at like 9 a.m, and then I stopped at like 1, because there was a point where I literally like I threw my Switch like onto my bed, because I was sitting on my bed, and I just threw it like right next to me because I was terrified of what just happened on my screen. But we'll get into that later.
Yeah, because I was like, when you told me when you stopped, I was like, that was a hell of a place to stop. That made me want to finish the game when that point happened. So I was very curious how you took a break. So I want to hear your perspective when we get to that point. But that is a huge point in the game. And then, overall, like it starts off with there's like any kind of, if you've ever watched kind of like a paranormal show, like Supernatural might be a good thing, where it's like there's stories about the island and then they kind of like go there and then they go into basically like the MacGuffin is that you have a radio that doesn't work, right? It doesn't pick up signals except on the island, and then occasionally like there's what Ren is talking about, who like literally is nonstop talking for the first like 15-20 minutes of the game. And I was like, okay, this guy is just the exposition dump. But I was like, relatable. Everyone kind of knows a Ren. Like somebody, you've met somebody like him. And it just goes into like talking about how like, if you go to a cave, you can pick up like random radio signals and stuff like that.
And weird things happen.
Yeah.
That's all Ren said. He was like, oh, when we get to the beach, we can also go look at this cave that I heard if you stand in certain spots makes radio signals go all wonky.
Yeah. And then on top of that, Ren lays down the like, the classic teenage coming of age like subplot of like, oh yeah, there's this girl I invited that I like kind of thing. And like there's that. So it does a really good job of establishing these kids as like they are high school kids just trying to, live their life and have fun and go do like get up to hijinks as like young kids do. And I was like, yeah, for sure. Definitely been there. I get it. And it definitely was a like, okay, I don't know where this was, because how much did you know about this game going into it?
Not much. So previously I had started the game, but I wasn't able to like get into it because like I had no like reason to be playing the game, and I was like, I bought it because it was on sale I didn't buy it because I read into it. So like I'd play it and then I got bored of it. And then I'd play again and I got bored of it. So I barely got past like the first scene.
Yeah, honestly, like if I didn't know about this game, and like I think this game is like 7 years old at this point. If I didn't know about this game, I don't think I would have been as intrigued by it, kind of thing. Where I was like, okay, this is good, but like the opening is definitely a little tough. But when you play it for free, it makes, and like obviously we have a purpose behind this. Like, oh yeah, we want to play these games and like talk about them on the podcast. That makes it a lot more like I'm motivated to get through it. And then like when I found out it's like, oh yeah, it's like paranormal stuff. Like that's the gist of this game. I was like, okay, you have my attention. Like I love paranormal, like weird stuff. I definitely like, you knew it was like paranormal, right? What was your like, what did you think the paranormal stuff was going to be?
I thought it was just going to be like ghosts like trying to like get like go to the light and like they had unfinished business and we need a help type of deal.
Yeah. I feel that. I definitely thought it was like a situation where it was going to be more a like a mystery. And it was a mystery, but that wasn't the main crux. It was more of like survival is what it became. It wasn't like a like oh yeah, we've heard like one of the characters is like really into the mystery and like everyone's doing research on it and stuff like that. It was more of like, yeah, like once shit hit the fan, it was like, okay, we need to survive
and get out of here.
Yeah, and get off of the island.
And the thing that I found like intriguing or interesting was that 4 of these characters lived right near the island and like would always go there for like weekend trips, but none of them really knew the history about it. Like I don't know if it's just a me thing, but every time I like go someplace, I always like read the little signs and like read up on history. So
you loved the points where you could log into I did the same thing. There's like little points where you can log into like, what was it, 102.3 or something like that to like on the radio, and it gives like a like 15-second like description of what the little like point of that island is, and that was great. I loved that. It was super fun. It was just on a loop too, which was cool. So sometimes you'd log in, like
you'd log in halfway through, and then you have to wait, and then you hear the point again, and you're like, okay, cool.
That was super cool. It was very realistic. I was like, oh man, that's super, super cool. And then controls wise, we talked about that a little bit. The art style is really cool.
I liked.
How would you describe it?
So the background is 2D, but the characters are 3D. Like you as Alex can turn 360, but you can't like, there's only background, midground, foreground. Like there's only certain paths that you can take.
Unless the path is like thick, then you can kind of like go up and down. But yeah, for the most part, it's basically a point and click adventure is what it is. But like with less like discovery, it is very. Well, actually, you know what? It might be completely different, because when we get to the spoiler section, you might have done completely different things than I did, because in my head it felt very railroaded. Like I was going from one point to the next point to the next point, and like I didn't do too much exploring because it didn't seem to benefit me that much. But when I play through it again in the future, I'll probably like take my time and like
and I'm
really
definitely
explore.
Playing through this again.
Yeah, it's definitely worth replaying. It's really, really cool. Do you have anything else you want to like discuss a little bit before?
I don't think so.
Yeah, this was a pretty decent, like if this sounds interesting to you, it's a teenage coming of age tale with like some sibling drama, some like
friendship drama,
a lot of friendship drama, some like processing of loss and divorce and all this kind of stuff. Like if that, and then on top of that, a paranormal thing that is a mystery that unravels and is like pretty wild and original. Like in my opinion, like it is ghosts. Like spoilers, like it's not really a spoiler. It's determined pretty quickly. Like it's really funny that they were like it's ghosts, and no one's like it can't be ghosts. They're all just in agreement that it's ghosts.
Yep, it's ghosts.
It's ghosts, and they're like okay. But the origin of those ghosts is very, very interesting and very, very cool in my opinion. So. If that sounds interesting to you, we're going to go into the intermission here in a second, which I I don't have too much to talk about.
It's not going to be too long.
It's not going to be like our normal one where we don't do a short game long talk like full episode and we have like a 40-minute intermission because like I haven't been playing too much and I don't want to talk about Tears of the Kingdom for like the 5th straight episode or whatever it's been. It's probably been like 3 episodes, but yeah. So this is your like we're going to go into the intermission. Feel free to join us there. If not, go right now, go play the game. If you have a Netflix account, which you probably do, you can go play this game on your phone, and it works great. Like, it's probably better on the Switch, and it's probably on sale right now because the newest game came out, and it's probably really good on the Switch or the Steam Deck if it's available there. I think it's available there. But yeah, it's definitely worth your time. Definitely a cool like 4-hour game that has surprising amount of replayability because when I was playing through it. And I like no spoilers, but at the end it shows you the percentage of like what other people did based on choices.
Not on the Switch.
It did on the Netflix one. It showed a pie chart of like you and blah blah blah, this many % of people made this decision. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, you guys got me. Like I'm gonna come back and make different choices because that's crazy. Because there was like 4 different choices you could make in a situation, and I was like, I didn't even think of this choice like at all. Like I looked into it. I was like, that's crazy. So it's definitely worth your time. Definitely worth replaying a ton. Replaying it with a different person would be kind of cool. And yeah, so I'm very excited to talk about like our choices and whatnot.
I have so much to say about that.
I know I'm going to let you run wild because I think you liked this game more than I did. I liked this game. Don't get me wrong, but you are like, really I haven't seen you like this excited to talk about a game in a minute. So we're gonna head into the intermission and talk about some of the games we've been playing, maybe some updates and stuff, but yeah, we'll see you guys in a second. All right, we are here for the intermission. I'm gonna be really quick because I don't have much. I beat Tears of the Kingdom. I cried. It was really, really good, and I am like so excited to eventually talk about that. And then the only other game I've been playing is Retro Bowl, which is a football game that is in the style in like pixel graphics, and it's extremely addicting and really fun. And I'm in the playoffs right now, and it's like it's been in the back of my mind like to like go finish that, but I need like probably an hour to play the 4 games. But yeah, it's really good. If you have Apple Arcade, it's free. If you have an iPhone, I think it's free as well, and then it's 99 cents to unlock like all of the features kind of thing, which it's a really cool game, so I would support the developer doing that. Aside from that, I spent 3 hours on the Steam summer sale trying to find something to buy that was like worth my time and like around $15. And then I ended up buying the Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is a like Yakuza game. It
was on the Steam, not Steam one.
No, during Game Fest, the sequel to that, the Infinite Money one, that's the sequel to Like a Dragon, which I'm excited to play. And then the only other thing was I bought the Humble Bundle, which should still be available right now for the Cozy Games, which I bought for $13 and there's like a ton of games on that list.
I think it was like 10 or
it was 9? 8 games and a coupon for another game, which I just thought was very interesting. But I mean, it made the game like $3, so I spent $16 for 9 games that I would say I'm mostly interested in 6 of them.
And I got a short hike out of it.
Yeah, because I already have it. So I was like, cool, I'll send you a short hike so now you can play that whenever you want on Steam. And that's still available when it goes, it supports a charity, and I think most of those games are like $10 to $15 anyways. So that's definitely worth your while to go check that out. Humble Bundle is going to help keep this channel alive because they definitely put out some stuff where it's like, hey, you want to spend $15 for 10 games where like 3 of them you wanted to buy anyways, and it just makes sense. I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool. Great, thank you.
Actually, yes, I would love to.
Okay, Jess, what have you been doing?
All right, so I had an Animal Crossing island with my brothers, and then everyone else. My brothers got their own Switches. I got my own Switch, but I was too attached to my house to like let it go. But then my boyfriend got a Switch Lite because he saw me always playing by myself on my Switch. So he was like, I'm going to stop you from being alone. Yeah. So he bought a Switch Lite and he bought Animal Crossing. And he also bought it for like his own purposes because he's been wanting one. It's not just because of me.
The Switch is a good thing to have. Yeah. Like everyone should have one, and especially this late in the game, getting a Switch Lite is probably the right choice because I think we're about a year out from whatever the next Switch iteration is going to be, in my opinion.
But I decided to finally like bite the bullet and restart my entire Animal Crossing. But I did take most of my furniture. Nice.
Okay, so you
So I took all of my furniture, put it onto my brother's island.
Yeah.
Restarted my Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
And then went back and grabbed all my stuff.
Nice. That's when Nina started over, she brought all of her money to my island and then just left it there. And then she came back, and so she started out as had a couple million bells. Speeds the process up quite a bit.
Quite a bit. I had 500,000 bells, and now I'm already at 3 rooms.
Nice.
So I'm chilling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I restarted it. I have all of the crops, or most of them at least. I've got my villagers, set up everything. Last night, I checked in on it, and they finished building the new resident services.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. So they got the actual building?
Yeah, not just the tent.
Yeah.
And the plaza has the bricks.
Nice. I missed that, though. I missed the tent vibes. Was fun early on in Animal Crossing.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where I stand with my Animal Crossing. I've been trying to continue with Mario Odyssey, but it's just
it's in the background.
It's been kicking my ass.
Really?
Well, I got stuck on a level, and then when you just get stuck and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
What level is it?
It's the one with the stretchy animals.
Oh, it's the food level?
No, right before the food level.
Oh.
It's like a forest.
Oh. Does that not end in the food at the top where you fight a big bird in a pot?
Mm-mm.
No, that's a different one?
That's a different level.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't played in forever because, Tears of the Kingdom came out. I'm sorry. I'm not going to play the 6-year-old game while Tears of the Kingdom is, right there. But yeah, we'll get to that game when we get to it.
We get to it.
And, honestly, yeah, I'm not going to, dive headfirst into that game. I'm just going to, next time I play it, I'm going to just get enough moons to go to the next level and then get to the final one and just kind of remind, because I remember, I did as much as I could in that game. We don't need to just do everything in that game, but that'll be a good one to talk about when we're ready to do it. That's going to be probably a short episode,
just a longer game, short to talk.
Yeah, literally, because it's Mario. It's Mario Odyssey. It's a great game. And then you have Pokemon updates, right?
And then I have Pokemon. I finally, so I beat the fire gym.
Okay.
And then I beat I think that was the fairy gym, where was the actress.
Yes.
And then she was
Opal, right?
Yeah, and she was like, "You're good, but you're not good enough to replace me." Yeah. And then Bead came in, and Opal was like, "Oh, you're exactly what I need."
I know, dude.
And I was like,
I loved that. No, it's so good. That's such a good storyline in there. I love that he becomes the fairy trainer. It's so funny.
But yeah, I'm on my way to the next one, but I didn't have the types that are stronger.
Yeah.
So I'm going back through Route 1 and 3 and just
What are you missing? Do you know?
Well, it's just that I have the types that I need. It's just that they're not leveled up.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So I'm just going through all of the smaller
Yeah.
routes and just battling out as much as I can.
Yeah, you're doing the classic RPG grind. Okay, nice. Is the team still the same?
No.
No?
I have I forgot them all.
All I remember is Honey and Kenneth.
Honey's still there.
Nice.
Kenneth is at the bottom of the list just because I can't get rid of him. I have too much of a sentimental attachment with him.
He's a good fire type too, so it's
and
hard to replace.
I've got Pyro Ball, which is
the one where he picks up a rock and
he makes it.
Yeah, I love that one.
And it's freaking
strong.
Strong.
It's a strong move.
Even against types that aren't weak to fire, it still can one hit kill.
Yeah, it's a good move.
But yeah, that's really it.
Who's like the new Pokemon on the team? Who's the new hotness? No idea.
For a bit, I had Doug Trio.
Oh, nice.
But then
it's a solid.
Then he like, it wasn't leveling up because it was holding something, and I was like, I had spent like 30 minutes like going around and fighting different like harder Pokemon.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like leveling up. It was getting experience, but it wasn't like
getting stronger.
Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck? And it was holding something. I was like, dude.
That's interesting. I wonder what it was. Well, nice. You're still plugging away at Pokemon. You'll get there eventually. And then maybe we can do an episode on, I think it's a little over our time, but I feel like Pokemon is like a perfect game to fit into a busy schedule. I mean, you've been doing it for like a couple months now, like since January, I think.
Yeah, around there.
Yeah, it was like around Christmas time or something like that when we started. So yeah, that might be an episode of Pokemon Sword and Shield, because that's a good game. It's a fun game. Anything else going on?
Not really.
We just saw Barbie, literally, an hour and a half ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like literally I'm wearing a pink polo and she's in a pink dress right now. It was good. Go see Barbie. It's a good movie.
Go see Barbie. It's a good movie. I cried.
Yeah, it was good. I did not cry, but it was a good movie. It was emotional. It was good. It was good. Don't take your kid. It's not a kid's. It is PG-13. So if you take your kid, like,
you've been warned.
Yeah, like, come on. But yeah, this is your second to last warning. I'll do one more warning in a second. We're gonna go deep into Oxenfree spoilers for probably about 30 minutes to maybe an hour. We will see. But this is your last warning, or second to last warning, before spoilers. But yeah, if this is the end, thank you for joining us. Go play the game and come back and listen, and then share your thoughts. I don't know what our question of the episode will be, but we will probably have one by the end, most likely. So we'll see you guys in a second. All right, we are back. This is the actual final warning before we go into Oxenfree spoilers. This is full spoiler territory. We're going to talk about everything that we experienced in the game, and some of the stuff that we didn't, because I looked it up because I was curious. But I'm going to let Jess lead this one because she seems the most...
So excited.
Yeah, you seem extremely excited about this game, so I'm excited to hear.
Okay, so I just want to start off with Clarissa is such a bitch.
Yes, that was my first note in my Clarissa sucks.
And like, I tried all of the like nice options to like say to her. At first, when she was like off the bat like a bitch, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a bitch back. But then I was like, man, I want like a nice ending. Yeah. Like, I want her to like me, because I could tell with how many different there's 3 different dialogue options. Yeah. So I was like,
sometimes there's 2, but most of the time there's 3.
And sometimes there's 1. Yes. I had a lot of instances where there was just 1. So I was like, well, what else am I supposed to click?
Did you ever let it go down and not respond?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I did that a couple times.
I didn't let it. It just kind of like, I was still reading the captions at the bottom, and I didn't see that I had a little talk bubble. And then I said something, and I was like, I picked that?
Yeah. Oh, it says stuff. Okay.
For me, it said stuff.
Interesting. Maybe there was a couple situations. Because like sometimes the game would like, they would have conversations and I'd just keep responding to stuff, and I'd just keep responding, and I was like, this is just going on forever. I need to stop responding so we can move on with the scene.
But yeah, Clarissa is a bitch.
She really is. I'm curious, like, yeah, once we get further into the story, like what your thoughts on that are, because I had somewhat of they almost changed my heart on her, and then they didn't like fully commit. Yeah. But so okay, that was your first thing.
That was my first like thought.
Both of us had the same thought, like literally.
And also like the conversation between Ren and Jonas at first was like weird, because I could understand like the Ren's point of view of like, this guy thinks that he could just be like best brother like as soon as he enters Alex's life, and I've been her best friend forever. Yeah. But it was very like compete-y, and I was like, dude, you're a friend and that's a stepbrother.
I was curious, how did you treat Jonas throughout?
I treated Jonas very nicely.
Yeah, me too. I was like, they never gave reason to be mean
to each other.
So I don't know why. Like, unless you take it, like, unless you have a very personal connection to having like a stepbrother or something like that, I was like, why would I be mean to him? Like, there's no he's just like kind of awkward, kind of quiet, and then like throughout he's like one of the best characters. Like, he's awesome. Like, there's literally no reason to be mean to him, except one time. There's like one point with him and Ren when they start arguing.
Oh,
that was the fuck. Oh, that was so annoying.
But we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Also, so when you get to the beach where like everyone's at, you guys talk for a while and then play Truth or Dare or Truth or Slap.
Yeah, Truth or Slap was so funny.
And you know, like things get tense because, oh, you're lying, I get to slap you. No, I'm not, you know. Classic teenage like drama. But then afterwards, Ren is like, hey, that's the cave I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah,
like,
I was like right next to him.
There's very, very conveniently placed right next to the beach where a bonfire is. There's this gigantic fence that says keep out. And like, oh, we can get over this by boosting us on each other's hands.
Did you hang out with the girls at all, or did you go straight to the cave? Because there's an option to go talk with Clarissa and Nona.
I did not talk to them.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I just went straight to the cave.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Because I didn't know. I was like, am I going to be able to get back? Or is that going to change? Am I going to miss anything? But yeah, that was just an optional thing that you could do. So next time I play, definitely going to go talk to them because I'm curious.
Because maybe that changes.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
How
the ending is.
Yeah.
Because I think there's 4 different endings.
Huh.
Yeah.
But so you go to the cave and then you pull out this little pocket radio that you have, and it's the channels are from like 80 to 130.
110, I think. 110. It might be like 88 to 110, something like that. Or 82 or something like that.
You don't have that much radios.
It's like a typical radio. Like that's like, I don't think most radios go higher than 110.
Yeah. But you know, you go and then, oh wow. At least I don't know if you have haptics on yours, but
no.
My Switch literally was like buzzing.
Really? That's cool.
It was like buzzing. It was so cool.
So when it was buzzing when you were like standing near something that you could, or when you're like,
when you're on the radio and like you find the frequency that's close enough.
Okay, so when you find the frequency, it buzzes.
It starts.
That's cool.
Like,
yeah,
and it's like hard rumbling.
Yeah, for mine it was just like I got the for when you're like like tuning to the frequency of the paranormal stuff, it's red. And as you get closer to it, it just becomes redder, like dark red. And that's how because there's green, red, and blue are the 3 colors, which are also not exactly, but are the 3 colors of choices as well. Because it's green, definitely green and blue, but the other one is like an orangey red, but like the red would have signified like bad kind of thing. So I think that's why they didn't do it fully bad. But those are the 3 colors as well. More color theory stuff. But yeah, that's so if you're playing it on the phone, that's how it's signified. Is like I don't think there was vibration. There easily could be because it's a phone, but like it's there's a visual cue and it gets kind of louder, so you can definitely tell. And did you play with headphones?
I played it through the stereo.
So I played first with headphones, or first without headphones because my AirPods were dead, and then my second session I played with headphones. Highly recommend. It is so much different. Like even like in a completely silent room by myself, like you are. It's
more immersed.
It's crazy. It's wild, especially towards the end. Like the ending is a lot of sound.
Yeah. But there's this part where Jonas is like, "Oh, there's a pool down here. Let's go." Yeah. And I really just wanted to like turn and walk away. Yeah. But it wasn't letting me go back.
Oh,
so I was like, okay, so it's either tell Jonas he's an idiot or say, okay, Jonas, let's go.
Yeah, because it's like a tiny little hole that he's gonna like stick his head into.
Yeah.
And yeah, Alex is like, I'm not doing that.
But then he ends up going in anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And Alex is like, guess I gotta go find my stepbrother.
Yeah.
Because again, this is like one of the first times that they're hanging out, like just being themselves. So, you know, this is her newfound stepbrother, and she's like, fuck, I just lost him.
Yeah.
And she has like
because at this point, I mean, we're in spoiler territory. At this point, they hadn't revealed that her older brother, had died. Yeah, it's revealed pretty soon after. But yeah, that was the first thing I was like, oh, okay, gotcha. We're dealing with like some trauma and like a recent
and the way
death.
that Clarissa was like, it was your fault.
Of course, yeah, of course.
But
then again, they were so close later when we talk about that to redeeming her. For exactly what she says and everything, and I'm like, they were so close and they just didn't like pull the trigger on it. Like they were almost there to redeeming her, and then by the end she's not like the worst, she's just like fine, but she could have been like, if they would have made her from literally the worst character to like a good person by the end of it, it would have made sense. They just didn't finish it.
I think you got a different ending than me, because she's pretty chill in my ending at least.
Yeah, so we'll definitely talk about that.
But yeah, and then it just goes into like, you like follow Jonas throughout this whole thing.
Mm-hmm. It's like a beautiful cave.
Yeah, and it's like awe-inspiring. Like there's like little pools everywhere, and there's stalagmites and stalactites.
Yeah, and then there's the graffiti was the first like weird thing, right?
Yeah, it was
it said, see a man about a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was
later it says, saw the man, didn't see the dog.
Didn't see the dog.
Yeah.
And that was where the armoire was.
Yes, which now makes so much more sense why that's there, because like the spirits were pulling things in.
Oh yeah.
So, but that's like the first clue of like, why is there an armoire? But in the cave, you're like, oh, I mean, it's a weird cave. Like it makes kind of sense. But then later, when the stuff they pull in, and you're like, yeah, this is weird.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy.
Yeah. That's when they find the triangle, the first triangle.
Yeah, the first triangle.
Did you see it right away?
Yeah.
I did not.
Because Jonas was like, hey, do you see that weird triangle thing? And I like immediately looked from Alex up to the triangle, and I was like, oh yeah.
I literally was like looking around and like just like looking on my tiny, like my phone. And I'm looking and I'm like, I'm not seeing a triangle. And I'm like, oh, the literal like light triangle that's floating in the air. How did I miss that?
And that was a really cool design, at least in my like perspective, because the whole cave was dark. Mm-hmm. Alex has blue hair, so like you could kind of see like the starkness of like the light blue hair against the dark. But then there's this orange triangle like hanging out.
Yeah, because the background is like painted. All the characters have like a paint style to them, and then this is like a literal like neon light that is like clearly computer generated, and like it stands out and you're like, what in the world is that?
And then you go in on your little radio and you tune it, and then it creates a line,
and another triangle.
You have to tune it again, make another line, and then tune it one more time, and it makes this rift in the universe practically,
and it starts talking. And it talks I loved this because it talked very similar to Bumblebee from the Transformers movies, where it's like talking through a radio. It's like taking phrases and terms, and
it's like a spirit box for those of you who listen and like watch like paranormal stuff. They were literally using a spirit box. It was like, we are, and it was going through the different frequencies, picking out the words.
And then later on, it uses like recordings of Alex and Jonas and Clarissa and Nona and Ren, which is very creepy.
Yeah.
But yeah, then that's like the kickstart, right? It like breaks a rift, and then all of a sudden you wake up with Jonas, right? You're like but you're all separated.
Yeah.
Like they wake up in the tower, right? Or is it near the tower? Like they're near the tower.
They were near the tower. They weren't in it yet.
So everybody's separated all of a sudden, and like no one remembers anything.
Even if you tried to go back to the beach, no one was there. Yeah. Because I went back to the beach.
Really?
I was like,
Nice.
because I had the map. So I was like, I'm just going to go back to the beach, find everyone, and boom. And no one was there.
Yeah,
and I was
that was crazy.
So then you go into the comm tower, and you're like, hey, guys, like, because the comm tower is able to radio everyone. Yeah,
it's one way. No one can radio back. But then somebody calls the phone number. Because they send out basically like a PA system. So it's a PA system. No one can PA back. It's just like when you're at school and there's an announcement. But then somebody calls the phone number, and I think the first person to call is Ren, and then Clarissa.
Mine was Clarissa, then Ren.
Maybe, might be like that. But then, Nona does not call at all, which I thought was like, I was like, okay, that's concerning. But did you then that's your first choice.
Yeah, it's either go save Ren or go help Clarissa.
Yeah.
Well, no, save Clarissa, help Ren.
Yeah.
That's the two options.
Yeah.
And so I told Clarissa that we'd go help her, but then on my map it had like objectives.
Yeah.
And it was like, go help Ren, go save Clarissa, and I was like, Ren's closer.
Yes.
So we'll just go jet over to Ren, help him out, and then go save Clarissa.
I didn't tell Clarissa I'd come first. I said I would go get Ren, because he was closer. And then I wonder what would happen if you did the opposite, if that would affect anything.
That's
because Ren has nothing to do with the whole sequence with Clarissa. So
yeah.
But if you did the sequence with Clarissa, you would have a lot more context going into the Ren situation, because for both of us, the Ren situation was when stuff started really like hitting the fan, like weird shit happened, because that's when the soccer ball happens, right?
Yes.
That shit was incredible. I loved that.
It spooked me the fuck out.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, like the soccer ball itself. Okay, so when you're on your way over to Ren and stuff,
it's like all normal. You're just talking with Jonas, and it's like totally normal.
And this is like a major plot point. Is you're like walking halfway through the you're in a campground. You walk halfway through it, and then, at least for me, my screen like glitched.
Mine didn't until I got to the end of the screen. So I went up and So that's the other thing I don't think I really mentioned is like there's like little dots that showcase that there's an interactable. None of it is necessary. You can just go through, but it adds to the plot, and there's conversations and stuff.
For half of the first scene, I wasn't really paying attention to what everyone was saying for like truth or slap or like anything, because I was throwing rocks in the water.
Rocks. I got a drink and sat down. So very different vibes. And yeah, so for me, I went to the campgrounds, talked about the stuff, and it's like an abandoned campground. And then I walked to the edge and climbed up the cliff, and then that's when the thing kicked in.
No, for me, I got we looked at the campground, and Jonas was like, looks like no one's been here for years. Why is there a tent here?
Yeah.
And, it's just abandoned.
Yeah.
And then we kept walking, and then we got like halfway through that little lake, like halfway through it.
Yeah, it's like a lake or a pond or whatever. Yeah.
And then screen glitched, and we ended up back at the start of the screen. At the
start, and Jonas says the same line that he says when you walked onto that screen for the first time, and then there's like distortions around your screen.
Yeah.
Which I was like,
it's like the TV static stuff.
Yeah, I was like, no way. I was like, because that was the first thing I was like, okay, this is what this game is about. This is sick. That was so cool.
And they called it the time loops.
Yes. Yeah. And then now.
And Alex was like aware of it. She was like, we just did this.
Yep.
And she's like, Jonas, or at least the way.
Yeah. I was going to say, how did you handle it?
I talked to Jonas like I was a crazy person. I was like, Jonas, we just did this. What do you mean? Yeah. And he's like, no, we didn't. This is our first time walking in. And then there was a campfire that was like...
Yeah, campfire and like trash or like it showed that like somebody was there recently.
And then I got halfway through the screen again, restarted again.
And now there's a soccer ball.
And then there's a soccer ball.
Which has a little interactable.
And you can
I wonder
kick
if you didn't do that. Because it felt like maybe you had to. Like that might be like one of the times where to move the scene forward.
There was one time that I just kept trying to like just move through the scene, and I'd get halfway through and I wouldn't touch an interactable, and it sent me back to the beginning.
Yeah, I think I might have happened at the same time. Like I don't know exactly which one you're talking about, but I remember something similar.
It was with Ren was with me and Jonas was with me.
Yeah, maybe I might be thinking of the same thing. But yeah, that was interesting for me. Basically, anytime weird shit happened, I was like extremely upfront with everybody. Like I was like, this is what just happened. We've been through this before. This is like, I'm not crazy. Like, and then like, I would do whatever I could to prove that like we're in a loop kind of thing. Cause I was like, I am not going to let these teenagers just be stupid. I'm going to be open with them and they're going to know what's happening.
Your job is really shining through right now. Like,
everyone's in the loop. Everyone knows what's going on. Everyone's going to survive. So yeah, but then the soccer ball situation.
But then you start kicking the soccer ball and Alex is like, I had this ball when I was younger. And this was one of my favorite lines from Jonas. Jonas goes, "It's a soccer ball. I mean, I think everyone had it."
Yeah. He's like, he says something about, it's so shocking that a giant like toy company would make another ball exactly the same. Like, it's so funny. I was like, yeah, that's a good point. Especially because it's literally just a regular, like, stereotypical soccer ball.
It's
like,
a white and black hexagon, octagon.
Yeah, it's not like it was like purple and pink or something like that.
Yeah.
It was like a basic white and black soccer ball.
But then he's like, oh, let's. There's some point after like you keep kicking this ball around that Jonas is like, let me take a picture of you.
Yeah.
This picture freaked me the fuck out.
Not the other one in the mirror later. That was the one that got me.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, oh shit.
Well, I was already like
yeah.
desensitized to it at that point, but he takes this picture and like it's like a Polaroid camera that he's taking pictures with,
which is another plot like a plot device throughout the game, because every once in a while there'll be, during a loading screen, it basically like signifies the chapters. There'll be like the first one they do is Ren, you, and Jonas like
on the boat.
You take a selfie on the boat, and then the next one is at the campgrounds. All normal, super cute, fine.
And then you look at the picture, and in the campground one, after you kick a soccer ball, there's this thing standing behind you, and it just has glowing eyes and like just like a dark figure.
Because maybe I didn't catch it at that point. Maybe
Really?
that's why it didn't freak me out.
It terrified me, dude. But I only got like 4 pictures.
Really? I got them all. Yeah.
I only got 4 pictures and like 3 letters, but we'll get into the letters later.
I only got 2 letters. Yeah.
No, I got 4 letters. Yeah, I got 4 letters.
Nice.
Because
those were interesting. Those are definitely what would drive me to go back and like find more. I don't know if they affect the endings or anything like that, but they seem like really, really cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so Jonas also like understands you when you're like, this is a time loop.
Yeah, eventually, like after like the second one.
Yeah, he's
and
like,
then when the soccer ball thing happens is when like he's like, oh yeah, this is freaky.
Yeah, you see it now?
Yeah. Oh no, no, I'm saying like
he understands that it's freaky.
Yeah, let me see. I see the picture, but it's really small, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, no, he's like, after like the second time, he's like, have we done this before? And Alex is exacerbated, and like there's like, yes, you don't remember, and like something else as like an answer.
How interesting. I see like something in the background, but I don't really see. Oh, okay, I see it now. That would probably, this is so small, and I'm looking on it on my phone right now, and that's probably why I didn't catch it. Because to me, on a phone, it just looks like particles.
Oh, okay, yeah, no. On the Switch, and I had
which is like twice as big screen.
I had my Switch on full brightness as well, so I was able to see like the smaller details. It was
that was the one that fucked me up.
Really?
Yeah, because that was the first one where I was like, when they take a selfie in the mirror and there's a like straight up red and black figure behind them, I was like, oh shit, they're physical.
They're here.
Yeah, they're like, this is no joke. Okay, so then they play like soccer with the thing, and then that's what kind of breaks the loop, right? Is like you're able to like make it through to the next screen, basically.
No,
that's right. That's when they introduced the tape the
recording thingies.
Yeah, I forget what they have a name, but I forget what they're called.
Yeah, so you have to rewind like these music tapes to get out of the time loop, and so finally, like after a couple of time loops, this just tape recorder appears, and it's like the interaction bubble's there, and it's like, oh, rewind the tape. And so Jonas is like, is that gonna get us like back out? And he mentioned something that like first, like I was like, that's interesting, because he like, you're winding up this music tape, and he's like, oh wow, that reminds me of the song that my mom used to sing to me.
Yeah.
And
they dropped that early, and then that is not addressed until like
later.
This is the one point where I was like, damn, this should have been the game should have been slightly shorter, or like you need to play this all in one go, because later on when that song is playing, I didn't even like correlate. And when they were talking, I was like answering the questions like to Jonas, being like, oh yeah, you should go, blah, blah, blah. But like the dialogue is like, what do you mean your mom? What does this have to do with your mom? Because it'd been like 2 days since I'd played that part, and that happens so early. That happens within like the first hour.
He off mentions it. He's like, oh yeah, that kind of reminds me of my mom.
Yeah.
And then like that's the last time he talked about his mom until later.
Yeah.
It was the first and last time.
There's 3 instances.
Yeah.
There's 3 instances because that now is one of my favorite parts of the game. The second instance where they talk about Jonas's mom. But yeah, so you do, for me, I had to spin it with my finger.
I just spun it with my right stick.
Yeah. So that's how you kind of, you basically have to, it's a really cool mechanic because it's like you have to find the right speed for the song to sound normal.
Yeah.
And that's what sets it like back to normal, which is really, really cool. Yeah.
For me, I just had to spin it.
No, for mine, if I spun it too fast, it didn't work. So I had to literally do it to the right, which makes sense. Yeah, on a right stick, it would probably be a little tough. But on the touchscreen, you have to, because I was doing it for like a minute and nothing was happening. And then I slowed down and then the light started to get bigger. And I had to hold it at a steady pace to like get it to be normal, which was super cool.
That's cool. Yeah, no, I just, with my right stick, I just, and then it was done.
Okay, that makes sense.
But then, okay, so to preface this, Ren took a pot brownie.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
That was my first text to Eric when I took my break was, Ren ate a pot brownie?
Yeah.
But then you find Ren, and I found Ren.
Well, first off, you find like some, you kind of like stumble into more creepiness because you go into a shed basically. Like there's a lot of like little creepy interactions. We're not going to like go into too much detail on all of them because we don't want to like, there are things you can experience, but it's a very creepy, like the world shuts down. Like it's just you guys in a room all of a sudden.
When it turns like the red light and there's.
Yeah. And then that's where they introduce that you need to combat the
demons.
the demons with your radio. You have to find their
course of like
speaking. You have to tune into the frequency. And like that was cool.
Was that the first instance that we saw? I can't remember.
The like possession?
Yeah.
I think so. I think Jonas is the first one to get possessed.
Because then he crumbles by the door and you're like, Jonas, and he's like, what happened?
And like because the ghosts can't possess him fully. They possess him, but they can't speak through him yet. And then I think the next time they communicate with you, they say that like, it was like hard to speak with the child or whatever they say.
Yeah, something like that. But you also have to take like this box car. I think, no, they didn't call it a box car. I forgot what it was called.
Oh, it's like, it's a little trolley thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And Jonas is like, no one's used this in years. Like, are we sure this is safe? And you as Alex is like, there's no other way.
Yeah.
So
that's where the game is definitely very point and click adventure, where it's like, oh yeah, you hit an obstacle and you have to go like, you have 3 different ways you can go, and you have to go to the right place and then just interact with something and then come back and it'll work.
You have to go power up the generator, But
it's not like puzzly point and click where it's like you have to have the right item. It's just like, you just have to find the right area and
you
press
just have
a button.
to come interact.
Yeah. And some creepy shit's going to happen on the way. That's basically it.
Also, I don't know if you saw it, but there's along all the paths, there was like the rock.
Oh yeah, because Ren talks about that because that's we kind of glossed that over. In front of the cave, that's when Ren teaches you how to tune to the frequencies, and he's like, oh yeah, if you stand here, here, and here, kids leave little stacks of rocks where
the frequencies
are,
happen.
and then that first you just tune in, and it just like messes with some lights in the cave. But yeah, they're like, some of them are really small, but I think I got there's 12 of them, and I think I got like 7.
I got like 8 or 9, I forgot, but I always like would be on the lookout for them because it was like F Charlie or like Charlie 6, and then it would like say, I had like no idea what like information was being given to me, but it helped me out later on.
Oh really?
I'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah, because I definitely think I did too, but I can't think of it in the moment, which is why I'm like, this definitely needs to be a game where you play it all the way through, because if you get all the information, or maybe you just like write down things, which I probably should have, because there was like a solution to a puzzle that I never came back to, I think, because it was in one of the recordings, and I was like, I'm never gonna remember. Oh yeah, that's right, because you get a second radio, and because
it has a lot more,
ton. And basically, I remember listening to one of the paranormal things. I forget what they're called. What are they called? They have a specific title, but I remember listening to one anomalies. That's what they were.
Yeah.
I remember listening to one of the anomalies, and it mentioned something about tuning to 60 something, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Well, I can't do that, and then I was like, "Maybe I'll be able to later." And then that was like 2 hours later. I got the new radio, and I was like, where did it say like, to do the 60? And I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to go searching for this thing.
I also, speaking of the radio, so I traveled with Jonas all the time. Like,
oh, really?
yeah.
Okay.
And so there's points where there was no dialogue. It was just walking. And the game has a really good way of freaking me out.
Okay.
Because there was only walking and they didn't have like ambient background noise for a bit. So I would just turn on the radio and like find a music station.
Oh, really?
And there was a music station.
Yeah, there's one or two, yeah.
And so I would just have the music station on while we walked, and then Jonas would say something and I'd turn off the radio.
That's so funny.
So I used it to like combat my anxiety over it.
That's so funny. Yeah, I did that for a little bit. Because I found a couple music stations, but I was like, nah, I'm just going to vibe with it.
There was like classical, and then there was like one where it was like, I couldn't really make out what type of music. It was like
random talking too. Like, yeah. But yeah, that's really, really funny. So so then we deal with the first bit of the demons, and then you run into Ren, who is at first okay. He's like normal.
He's like, oh, hey guys, like, nice of you to show up.
Yeah.
He got on my nerves a little bit.
Ren is definitely a little annoying, but
everyone knows a Ren.
Everyone literally, that's one of my notes is like everyone knows a Ren. Like everyone knows somebody like this.
He's annoying but lovable.
Yes. And then he gets possessed. I forget what the inciting incident is that like kicks off that whole predicament with Ren.
It was a time loop that he got possessed in.
That's right, because the time loop, and he starts wandering and not responding to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you see him mutilated on the floor, and you're like, Ren, is he dead?
Yeah.
That was the first like.
Yeah, he got fucked up in those time loops. Because there's another one later where he drowns, like fully, and that was super freaky. And
so you're stuck in this time loop, and it was for the last one, at least for me. And Nona was in it, and Nona was like, Alex, I'm so sorry. He during
the drown? Yeah.
No, not during the drown. During the first one.
Oh, really? I didn't have that. I had that later when he... maybe I did. I don't know. Explain it a little more. Maybe it'll remind me.
So, at first it was that he fell off the bridge up there and onto the rock on the bottom. And then time loop again. And then it was just, he wandered off and I found him like this. And there was like 3 different versions of Nona, just like, he's dead.
Yeah.
And then it looped again, and Nona was just like sitting by herself, and she's like, get away from me.
Yes, and that was the normal one, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I don't remember Nona being there. I only remember what you're talking about reminds me of the when he drowns, because he falls off a bridge into a lake and drowns. In one of the loops, and that I don't really remember that too much.
Right by, so there's the cabin that he was up in, and then there's this little part like to the left where there's a stepping stone to this like peninsula.
Yeah.
And then he falls onto the stepping stone.
Interesting. Don't know if that happened.
I kept just going over there because there was the pile of rocks. And I saw it out of the corner of my eye and out of the corner of the screen. So I tried going over there. So maybe it was just like...
Maybe I missed something. But yeah, because I didn't run into Nona until Ren disappears again. And then you go to the right. Like, you go to the screen to the right. And then I saw... It was funny because I was like, there was a fork in the road. And one went down and one went up. And I saw Nona. And I was like, I should probably go to Nona, but I wanted to go up really bad, but I circled back around eventually. But yeah,
I went to that fork in the road.
I went to it later, so
I went to it earlier.
Yeah, so I'm curious what.
So it was probably that.
What was it for you? When you went up to the it's a building.
There's well, technically for me there was 3. There was path, building,
so
up here,
and forward path, up path, and then like
a fork in the road.
Yeah. Okay.
And so then Nona's like, "Get away from me," and then runs away.
She's like freaking out.
Yeah, she's.
Oh, you did you talk to her at all, or did you?
Yes, I did.
Okay, yeah.
She was like, I was like, "Nona, it's me, it's Alex."
Yeah.
She's like, "How do I know it's the real you?"
Yeah.
And Alex is like,
I tried to convince her to stay with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, "It's us. Like, you don't have to worry. Like, you're safe." And she's like, "I don't believe you," and just ran off. Yeah. I was like,
"Oh, really? You didn't get? Did you tell her to go somewhere?" Mm-mm. So I got her to go to the tower, like fully. She
really?
like made it to the tower safely. Like I convinced her to leave. I was like, "It's fine." Like remember, I said I'm not letting any of these fucking kids die. I was like, "Okay, if you don't want to come with us, go to the tower. We're going to find Ren right now, and then get Clarissa, and then we'll meet you back at the tower." And later on, she announces on the PA system, that she made it to the tower, and you're like, "Oh shit, cool, she made it to the tower." So like so she made it to the tower for you too?
Yeah, but it wasn't through us being like,
okay, that's
go to
funny.
the tower.
Okay.
It was like,
so that's the illusion of choice is what that's called. But yeah, that's interesting that we had different dialogues with her.
Yeah. And so we go and we find Ren, and then there's the doors all close on us, and we have to figure out how to get out. Mm-hmm. And then the phone is broken that Ren used to call us.
That's right. Yeah.
And so we have to like figure out how to get out. And I can't remember most of this. So if you have like thoughts.
I'm trying to remember. That was like so early on, and it ramps up so fast from there. Okay, no, I have nothing in my notes because I don't have anything in my notes story-wise until my choice of who I went with to go get the keys.
Oh.
Yeah, I have nothing in my notes until then. Because after that, because you don't, you run into where Clarissa is, and then, because yeah, you get Ren, and then you send him to the tower as well. And at that point, we had already sent Nona there.
Oh, you know what? I told Ren to find Nona and then go to the tower.
Okay, so there was a different thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just sent Nona straight to the tower.
I sent Ren to go find Nona, and I was like, "This is gonna make him fall. This is gonna make her fall in love with him."
Yeah,
because I was trying to play Cupid because Nona's the girl that Ren was like, "Hey, I invited this girl that I have a crush on. Like, I want to try to get like together with her." So I was like, he can go find Nona. Great.
Yeah. So that was, and then right after that, that's when you go to, because you send Ren. That was so annoying. I was like, damn it. Like, we finally get Ren, and then we send him off again. I was like, what the fuck was the point of this? If he's going from where he is to the tower, he could have just met us at the tower.
Yeah. Just, so I was hey, like, come to the tower instead of, come help me.
Yeah, so then after that, you go to Clarissa.
Fort Milner.
Yes, which was like immediately creepy. I was like, oh man, she is in the shittiest place on this island.
And she just got like spawned there. She wasn't like, it wasn't like she chose to be there.
Yeah, like Ren is in like the forest with like some cabins and a pond, and like she's in literally like
an abandoned military base.
Yeah, that is like falling apart.
Yeah.
It's so like, if the place wasn't already haunted, I would assume this place was haunted. Like if the whole island wasn't haunted, that place would probably still be haunted.
Yeah. So we go and then we see her run.
Yeah, you see her like 3 or 4 times before like the incident.
It's like
happens.
Playing cat and mouse, because she's like, she runs out of one door into another, so you and you were right by that door, so you have to go run to the other one.
Do you think she was possessed at this point already?
Maybe she had like the type of thing that Nona had, where she's like, I don't know if you're the real you.
Yeah, because you interact, like you actually talk with her.
Yeah, you talk with her, and her eyes aren't glowing.
Yeah, and she's not like floating, which is the other thing we didn't even talk about. Like what happens is Ren and Jonas, like the 2 times they get possessed, they like float up like Exorcist style, and then you have to tune to the radio to like purge the fucking ghost out of them, and then they just collapse as a lump on the ground.
It's the art style for that I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah, they look like human fall flat characters.
Yeah,
like, they just yeah, they look like fucking Milo from Inside when he dies, like just on the ground.
Because it looks like all their bones just dissipate for
Yeah,
a second.
They look like puppets all of a sudden.
And
like,
then they get back up and they dust themselves off and they're like, that was weird.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one thing I was like, you guys, your mental fortitude is pretty good for high school students, I gotta say. Like, I would not be handling this as well.
Yeah.
Like, I would be okay until I was possessed. If I was possessed and then was snapped out of it, I don't think I would be able to function afterwards.
I would just be like, okay, I'm going to go to the comm tower.
Yeah, see you later.
But
yeah, so you're going through very labyrinthian, and then there's a point where it was really funny because it was like you're like walking through like a courtyard, right? And it's like there's like one building in the center and then a couple other spots that have interactables, and like color theory, of course, like I was like, oh, there's a red light, I need to get there. And it was like right in the center, so I just like went straight there and like tuned to the radio, and like things went crazy after that. And I think that's when you start to have the conversation with the ghost like fully for the first time, because that's when the ghost starts talking, and I think that's when they say like, oh yeah, it's kind of hard to like
communicate through the child.
Yeah. Because that's when I don't know if it's Jonas or if it's literally just like a figure is talking to you or something like that, but that was one of the interactions with the ghost prior. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was like
I remember that conversation, but it was through a different
maybe
in a different place.
Okay.
Because I had that conversation at Hangman.
Oh, interesting. Where was Hangman?
So Clarissa closes a door behind her, and you have to like bust it open.
Yeah.
And then like
that's like right before you stopped, right?
Yeah, right before the incident.
Yeah, the incident. We'll get to that. I don't want to like spoil that because I feel like in the moment it'll be better to say what happens.
And so we get into this room that has a door on the left and a door on the right. Mm-hmm. And I see the red light swinging from the top of the room, and I'm like, okay, great. Mm-hmm. Click my little right bumper, start tuning it. And then it's like hard to communicate through child, and then a game show voice. Like,
that's right. I do remember the game show voice. Maybe I'm thinking of a different thing. Do you remember what I'm talking about? Where you like?
I have no clue about a courtyard.
It's like you loop around.
Here, I'm gonna search it up.
There's like I guess it's like a pagoda kind of thing, and there's a light on the top. You have to climb up a ladder, and then there's a red light at the top. And you interact.
Okay,
yeah. So that's like right before you go into the fort to chase after Clarissa. So I don't remember exactly what happens there, but I remember having an interaction with the ghost at that point. And it might have been the first time that like Jonas is like fully possessed and not just like lifted up off the ground. But yeah, so that point aside, I just thought it was funny that I was like, because it has you loop around. I was like, it's a red light. I'm going to go to the red light. Like, yeah. But then you're chasing after Clarissa, and before the incident happens, you get that's when you find where Jonas gets locked in a room. Did you
upstairs and like you have to?
Yeah. Did you how long did it take for you to figure that puzzle out?
Not very long.
Yeah.
It was like I saw it almost immediately, and I was like, okay, I just gotta.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like you have to just have the radio tuned to something that's making noise, and then it unlocks the door.
Yeah.
Which it comes back later as a little more complicated.
I realized it because there was posters that were like radio lock, and I was like, okay.
Well, because they do a really good job, because at first when you're walking through the building, it's all dark and there's no light. But then when Jonas gets locked up,
lights come on.
Yeah, the lights come on, and then all the posters are like in 3 different places, and you're like, oh, okay, gotcha. I thought I had to tune to a specific thing, and then it just turned out I just had to put the radio like onto something, and it just like unlocked.
Yeah.
Because I thought what I was doing was like I was tuning it until Jonas said something to like, or he opens the door. But you just have to turn the radio on, turn to a radio station that's making any kind of noise, and then just open the door. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, gotcha.
But the thing right before the incident happens with Clarissa, at least for my side, was the Hangman game. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
And this is where listening into the little like tidbits helped me.
Yeah, I got 1 right.
I got 2 right.
Nice. Yeah, I think you just need to get 1. because if you because it's 3 questions. And one of them isn't so you probably got a piece of information that I didn't get because the one that we probably both got was the cookies one.
Yeah.
Right? That one's like a plot point. So like everyone should be able to get that one because you just kind of stumble across that with Jonas. But what was the one that you got?
How many passengers were on the USS?
Yes. I knew that one. But I forgot, like, I had, because that's one of the first ones you, like, stumble across. But, yeah, I was like, fuck, I don't remember.
Because it was 85 total,
yeah.
52 passengers.
Yes. Okay. Gotcha. That was, and then I forget what the third one was.
It was one that I had no clue.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
Yeah, it was so scary. Especially because, like, it's not Hangman. Like, that's
it was Jonas on the line.
That was so funny. Yeah, it was like.
And the way that they played Hangman was, like.
Head, body,
head
legs.
and body.
Yeah.
And then if you got like I searched it up, if you got something else wrong, it was both the arms.
Yeah.
Then it was both the legs, so then you would have died. Like,
yeah, so I got head, and then I was like, okay, that makes sense. I got the first one wrong. And then they asked the second one was cookies. And I was like, cool, I got that one. I know that one. And then the third one, and then also they're flipping the screen.
Yes.
So what?
I flipped my switch.
Oh, really? That's
and I was
so
like, okay,
funny.
That one.
I couldn't have done that. I mean, I could have locked my phone rotation, but yeah, like it flips your screen, so then your controls are inverted and the buttons like are still the same though.
Yeah.
So you have to be like left or right. But so I got the second one right, and then I got the third one. Yeah, it drew the body. I was like, oh shit, I could have died if I didn't get like one of these right. That was crazy.
But then once you're like out of the game, and it literally like even if you got 2 wrong but 1 right, it still let you out of the game.
Yes.
And so Jonas is like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, he's not doing well.
He's going through it at this point. But so you get out and you see Clarissa above you.
Yeah.
So you have to go through this like
semi like maze-ish thing, but you have to go down and then back up
and then like
and then that's when you pass by the mirror, and before you go,
and the mirror talks to you.
Yeah, well, the mirror talks to you after Jonas leaves, because at first you guys just take a selfie in it, and that's the creepy picture that I was like,
that you saw.
I was like, oh god. But yeah, there's an image of you. And this actually happens before. We missed this because it happens at the pond with the soccer balls.
Yeah, we forgot to mention that.
So like,
and it says something, and
it
Alex
makes no
is like,
sense.
What?
Yeah, because at that point you don't even have the information.
Yeah, it just says tell Michael something. Like it says.
The first one was I thought. Oh yeah, the second one is about Jonas. Yeah, the first one was about Michael, her brother, who's dead. Who. At that point, I think we know.
Yeah.
At that point,
we know that Michael is dead because he drowned trying to take Alex swimming right before he left for college.
At Edwards Island, right?
Yes.
I think so. But yeah, that happens. And then the weird thing is that it's a reflection of Alex with like green gibberish text above her head.
For me, it said username.
Really? Okay, that makes sense. Because yeah, mine on the phone, it was just like gibberish. So that's really funny. And then the second time it happens is at the mirror, when it's again Alex reflected on there with the green text above, and then it says to let Jonas go to his mom,
talk to his mom.
And then I don't even know at that point if we knew his mom was dead. Right?
No, because he talks about it when the song comes on again.
Yeah. He talks about like that he used to listen to this song with his mom, but
before
I don't think
she passed.
Yeah, so I was like, what the? I was like, that was where I was like, okay, they're laying a lot of like stuff down right now that I'm really hoping pays off, which that part definitely did.
And when I got to that part, I was like, okay, Eric said that you could finish this in like 4 hours. How are they going to fit all of this into the next? Yeah,
because you're at like 2 hours at that point. Yeah, roughly.
And so I was like, well, we'll see how this goes. And then we get to Clarissa.
Yes.
And this is where I freaked and I stopped.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, this is a hell of a place to stop. I like played for another like 30 minutes to an hour after this.
So you go and you start talking to Clarissa, and she obviously, so she was dating Michael before he died.
Yes. And that's why she like hates
That's
Alex.
why she hates Alex, because she's like, it's your fault that he's dead, and we were gonna move in together and have a perfect life, but now he's gone. It's because of you. And so she's holding on to this to a lot of resentment.
At that point was the first time I felt sorry for her.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you actually have a connection to Michael. You're not just like a terrible person. Like you were not just nothing to him. You were
something, and something big.
And what's interesting is it's shown that Clarissa was dating Michael at one point, and Alex makes it seem like she wasn't like
a big thing.
Yeah. And then later
like,
it's revealed that they were supposed to move in together after high school.
Because Jonas asked, like, oh, like, how do you know Clarissa? Like, why is she so mean to you? And there's like a couple of chat options.
Yeah. I picked the one that was most interesting to me, which was like she dated Michael.
And then after she dated Michael, because that's what I chose too.
Yeah.
For me, it said like, he was like, oh, like for how long? And it was like, that doesn't matter. Only a bit. She meant nothing.
Yeah. And I was like, interesting.
And I was like,
and
okay.
which I was like, that can make sense if they were dating and it was only for a bit, but he died. I can understand the connection. But then later it's revealed that like
they were dating for a while before that.
Or even if they weren't, like they might. I don't remember like the time frame that they gave, but they're going to move in together. Like that was a real relationship.
Like they were gonna move out of the city that they were in, and like move in together. Yeah. Like, so that was like a tight relationship.
A big relationship. Yeah, it was not just nothing. So I was like, what? This game would be so different if you played Alex as like super antagonistic to everybody the whole time. Like she has some like mean options.
She has mean quips, dude. But then so you get into this like kind of like heated conversation with Clarissa, and she's like, you know what? Well, I don't even care about you, and blah blah blah.
And she's not possessed at this point.
No.
Yeah.
She's just upset.
Yeah.
And then there's a little bit of possession that happens, just like a bit where she like starts floating. Yeah. And I, as Alex, like tried snapping her out of it.
Yeah.
I chose the chat option of, this isn't you, Clarissa, like snap out of it. And so she snaps out of it and she's like, what'd you just do to me? Yeah. And Alex is like, that's the ghost that's been terrorizing us. Like, you need to come with us and get out of here. And then she just jumps.
Yeah, jumps out the window.
She jumps out the window, and the camera, at least for me,
it zooms
followed
out,
her and zooms up on her dead body
she,
on
like,
the floor.
Bounces, yeah. And I was like, oh my God. And then, so when you said that, like, Jess, you texted me saying, like, oh yeah, I'm taking a break. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. When did you stop? She's like, Clarissa just jumped out the window. I was like, in my head, I was like, I texted you. I was like, yeah, for sure. In my head, I was like, how did you stop there? Like, oh my God.
Well, because like, I also had to finish playing through that scene and get to like a point where I exited Fort Milner. Yeah. Because it doesn't save while you're in scene. Yeah. So you like, at least for me, it saved when I leave a place. So I was like, okay, well, I gotta get out of here first. But the thing that terrified me more than her jumping out of a window and watching her die was that her body wasn't there when we went back downstairs.
By the time you go downstairs, she's gone. And I was like, of course she's gone. Like in my head, I was like, of course. I was like, they're not gonna, like, because they already showcased that Ren was like dead, but he's not dead. We know he's safe in the tower at this point. And so like, they're just fucking with you. Like, so bad. That was wild. But so, what were you thinking at that point?
I was like, okay, so either that was a figment of our imagination, or the ghost took her body as like a source of communication, since she has no way to fight back now.
That's a good point. Yeah,
because then the rest of the game, at least through that definition, makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. So for the rest of the game, the ghosts
use Clarissa to...
Basically. I think they try with a couple other people, but they're mostly like, anytime Clarissa is on screen at that point, she's possessed. Yeah. Yeah, so that does make sense that she was like dead. And then, after that, you go back to the tower.
To the comm tower.
And that's when the fight happens between Ren and Jonas. So I'm curious how that went for you.
So Ren took another half of his pot brownies.
Yeah.
He brought 2, he ate 1, and now a half.
Yeah.
So he was like, oh, it's just to take the edge off. I'll be fine. And then I tried making it as civil as I could.
Same.
And I was like, guys, it's fine. Like, just stop. And then Jonas is like, the resident burnout.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that was rude of you to say
I was
to
like,
Ren.
you barely know him.
Like, how do you know that he's a burnout? Maybe he's a smart kid. But then then Ren's like, well, no one even likes you. Like, you were just brought here because you're Alex's stepbrother. And so it just begins like an argument. And Nona's like, guys, this is really like childish.
Yeah.
Like, calm down. And then the boys make it your decision. They're like, okay, well, who do you want to go with? Your best friend or the guy who's like, Ren's like, do you want to go with the best friend or the guy you've only known for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
And then Jonas is like, would you rather go with someone who just ate a pot brownie or with someone who's been protecting you this entire night?
Yeah.
And so I went with Jonas.
I went with Nona.
Really?
Yeah, because...
Oh, yeah, and then you had the option to choose for Nona.
Yeah, the reason I picked Nona was because I was like, I know 0 things about this character, and this feels like, and I was correct, the only time you get any kind of exposition on her.
Yeah.
So I was very happy I chose her because I was like, no, fuck you two boys. You are childish. You can sit here and sit in your fumes and make up because you guys are both idiots. Like, you're both going too far. And I was like, I'm taking Nona and we're going. And it was awesome.
Really?
Yeah, it was so much fun. What happened with Jonas when you went down to... Because this is when you all decide to go get the keys.
From the main street.
Yes, to then go to... What was it?
Her mansion.
Yes, that's right. They think there's keys for the mansion. That's right. Yeah.
And so, well, like, nothing really happened with Jonas. Like, it was literally just how we were traveling earlier. I have a problem with how they travel. The CPUs are so freaking slow.
Dude.
Like, I left Jonas in the dust.
Yeah, they climbed. Well, so the issue is there's definitely like a programming thing where not like too many people can be on a ladder or go downstairs at the same time. So the CPU
They
will
wait
just,
for you at the top.
Yeah, the AI will just kind of wait and then go. Because yeah, I like basically climbed down the whole tower, and then Nona was like just barely getting down the ladder while I was like leaving the scene. But luckily they like zip to you when you leave. But so there wasn't any like interesting conversations you had with.
Not really. That was at the point where I had the radio on for a bit because it was.
So there was silence. Like you guys weren't really talking.
There was just silence.
Dude, Nona and you talk the entire time.
Oh my God! Really?
The entire time from the moment you leave the tower to the like basically back to the beginning. Yeah. Like the entire walk you're talking. So like, because you can get to ask like, why are you friends with Clarissa? Like, why are you? And it's like, she explains that like Clarissa did a really nice thing for her. She's always shown up for her birthday, like done all these big things. And like, again, really close to making Clarissa a really good character, and they just don't finish it for me. And then like, she's like, hey, my birthday's coming up and you're invited, by the way, like all that stuff. And like, and they're just like talking, and then you get to further like hype up Ren during the conversation and do all. It was awesome. I was like, thank God I picked this, because I was like, no, you two boys are. I was like, what's gonna happen is I'm gonna take one of you, and in my head I was like, you're just gonna bitch about the other one the entire way down, and I was like, I know nothing about Nona. I'm just gonna take her down.
Yeah, no, there was no bitching. But so we go down, and there's like the letter from Maggie Arden. Adler. Arden.
That's close.
And so
because that's we should probably talk about that. The big thing that happens on this fucking island is that recently Maggie Adler, the like the matriarch of this like island died, and like she has no kids.
She has no family, no friends.
The only connection she's ever had to anybody was her friend, Anna?
Yeah,
Annie,
I think so.
Something like that, who disappeared at one point. And now, obviously, at this point, once they bring Maggie Adler like back into the plot line, it's very obvious that's like
it was the spirit.
Yeah, that happened to Anna, or Annie. I really don't know what her name was. Yeah, a name. But yeah, so that's the whole point. Is you go down, and then that's when the ghosts start like messing with things again really bad once you go, and that's when you get the radio. You get the second radio.
You get the big radio.
Yeah.
That goes from 50 to 110. 200.
Yeah, something like crazy high.
200 something.
That reminded me of a really funny point. Do you remember when the first time you get to the tower with Jonas and the door's locked? Did you climb through the window?
No. I went over to the window and I saw that there was interactable, but Jonas was picking the lock by that time. So as I like walked up to the window, the door swung open and I was like, okay, cool.
So I saw it and I was like, oh, I'll just go through the window. So I went through the window, and as he's picking the lock, I just opened the door. It was so fun. So I wanted to mention that because there are moments like that like sprinkled throughout the game where there's like multiple different like options to do things that are just kind of like character moments, basically.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't affect anything. It's just like it makes the story a little different for you. So I was curious about that because I think there's one with that's when you break down the door with it's you and Nona and like you bust like
me and Jonas.
Yeah, for me and it, like busting through. But yeah, you get the radio and you get a letter from Maggie Adler that says like,
I've left more letters for whoever finds this. Sorry to whatever soul finds this.
Yeah, basically.
It's your guys' problem now.
Yeah. And so that was very like, I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be a bigger, because I think they just wanted to go to Maggie Adler's because there was a boat. Right?
Yeah.
That was it. They were not.
The objective on the map was steal a boat and get out.
Because Maggie Adler was rich. And
yeah,
so
she had a mansion.
Yeah. And they're like, she has a boat and we can get off. It was not like she has the answers to all our problems on there.
Yeah.
But that's what ended up happening. So, and there was no key, but they explain the frequency locks.
Yeah, the radio locks.
Yeah.
So practically you go up to the door that's locked, and if it has this little triangle thing, you start tuning to like whatever station. Like you just have to search for the station.
And
there's
that's
no
the blue one. Yeah.
And there's no like indicator until you hear the dunk.
Yeah, it's so long because it's so many numbers now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely tough.
I literally would just like scroll through.
Yeah.
And then I heard a bump, and so I'd scroll back until I heard it again.
For me, I was just like looking for the thicker blue like cloud over the thing.
I just didn't want to spend that much time looking for it.
I was just like, all right. That was definitely, I was like, man, this is a little too much. Like, I would have rather it been like you had to solve some kind of puzzle to find out what the frequency was or something like that. But yeah, it was fine.
Yeah.
And it's used throughout the rest of the game whenever you find a little lock. So did you? So the thing that helped you was the during the hangman question, right? So you didn't find one that was a like you didn't find an anomaly that helped you any other way. Okay. There's definitely one that talks about a frequency of 60, which you don't have access to at the time of finding it. So I'm very curious, like, what that was, or if it's just like that one helps you find the frequency quicker to unlock that door. So I don't know. Next time I play through, I'm definitely going to like make a note of that one because it seemed interesting to me.
But speaking, like, going back to the boys and like their bickering and stuff, when I finally did get like conversation back with Jonas on our way back to the comm tower, because it was get the radio, then go to the comm tower, pick up Nona and Ren, and then go to Maggie Adler's estate. On our way back to the comm tower, I told Jonas, make up with Ren. And he was like, but I wasn't in the wrong. And I made the choice of saying, I don't care. You're my stepbrother. He's my best friend. You guys have to make up.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not going to say sorry until he says sorry. And I said, you're saying sorry.
Yeah.
And so they apologized, and they were chilling afterwards.
So that's where I think I definitely like, that's one of the partial endings is like, I don't think they were fine, but I don't think they actually made up because I took Nona with me instead of one of them, so I didn't like convince the other one to
apologize.
I'm very curious what it would be like with Ren, because he's another one that just talks a bunch, but you don't have a lot of one-on-one time with him. So I'm curious if there's more dialogue. The Jonas one makes sense to have like almost nothing happen because you're with him the entire game.
Yeah.
So like they would have had to write a whole bunch more for him, where it's like there's already so much dialogue with Jonas throughout the whole game.
I do want to say like with the talking aspect, those voice actors are really good.
That's what I was gonna. I was gonna mention it later. Like the voice acting in this game is so good,
especially when they're like terrified. Like it was very, very well performed.
Yeah, and it Alex, especially because the dialogue is like you get to choose every single time. Like for the most part, except maybe like 1 or 2 times, I would choose an option, and she like
would
expressed
say
it
what you wanted
exactly the way I had it in my head. Like almost every time. It was so good. So yeah, definitely big shout outs to the voice actors. They all like absolutely crushed it.
Yeah. And so you get the 2 others, you go back to Maggie Adler's estate, unlock it, and then you're looking for the keys because you see the boat and you're like, sick, boat. But there's no keys. Yeah. So you're like, only other thing to do is go inside.
Did you go in the basement first?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Because it made things so much easier.
Yeah, and I was like...
It was right there.
I was very curious. Yeah, I was like, they should have had it be locked for some reason. Because like you have to come back in there anyway. So it was kind of annoying to have to like circle back around in there once you like get more info.
Yeah.
But yeah, you basically explore the house, and that's when that's when
I Spy shows up.
Yeah, because that's Clarissa's in the house, and she's like sitting there.
And at that point, it doesn't look like she's possessed. She's just normal.
There's no red aura. There's no red eyes. There's no nothing.
And that's where another mirror happens.
Yes.
And that's where.
What was that one? That was the Michael one.
There was another Michael. So the first one was. It was telling you to let Michael date Clarissa.
That's right. And then the second one is let Jonas go with his mom.
And the first one was don't let Michael leave.
Yeah, that's right.
But so Clarissa's like, oh, well, nice of you to join me. And so you guys are like,
how did you get here?
Like, dude, you were dead and it was locked. Yeah. How'd you get in? And she's like, the window was open.
And you're like,
it makes no sense, but you know, she died in front of your eyes and she just appeared again. So
there hasn't been a flashback at this point, right? Or was there one already? I feel like there was one.
There was one.
It was the beach one, right? Yeah. So we skipped over. I don't remember when it happened, but there's a flashback that like you're with Jonas and he says, oh, wait, no, this happens on the way to the keys. Is the flashback. That's when it happens. That was when we like totally like glossed over that. It's you get the keys, which are the radios, and then the ghosts start messing with you. And Nona says something, for me it was Nona, says something that like makes no sense, and my responses are all like questions. Yeah. And then it flips to you talking to Michael in the past, and I love that since Michael died, Alex got edgy and dyed her hair blue
because it was brown in the flashbacks.
Yeah, and it's brown in the flashback. So it was like you're like, oh shit! Like I never like that was a huge moment for me because I was like, oh, I didn't know Michael was going to be like a thing in this game, and he's like fully a thing in this game.
Because he's just talked about like in the past.
Yeah, which I thought, okay, he's going to be like kind of a plot device and thing that is like an issue between Alex and Clarissa, and
it's gonna like base a lot of the things off of like her trauma with because when Clarissa explains how he died, it was Alex was swimming and he was swimming and he just started drowning, and she watched, but that's because she didn't know what to do, but so
I was so you have that like it's the beach date, right? It's Michael, you, and Clarissa, and that was with following up from like the last conversation I had about Clarissa was with Nona talking about how she's actually a pretty good person. She's always been there for her and everything. And so for me, what's up?
There was a little bit of dialogue before it went silent with Jonas.
Okay.
And he was asking about Clarissa. And there was like an option that was like, what, do you like her or something? And he stayed silent.
Oh, okay.
And Alex was like, you like her.
Yeah.
Like, you want to date her. And he was like, I just think she's cool. I'm like, you just saw her die.
You saw her die and she's been nothing but mean like the whole time. That's very interesting. But yeah, it's a date where like you basically go through the same thing that you did with Ren and Jonas. You go like basically the same path, and then you go to the same exact spot where you have the bonfire, and you can throw rocks and do all that.
And take a drink and sit down.
Yeah, same thing, except you're having a conversation with Clarissa and Michael, and then Michael forgets something. Or is it Clarissa who forgets?
Michael forgets something because then Clarissa's like, I hope you don't mind that I'm dating him. And she's like being nice to you.
Super nice.
And she's like, I think like, you know, this is going to be great and like we can get along.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is completely different from the Clarissa that I know.
And that's where I was like, okay, so something like the death really
like affected her.
Yeah. And then again, at that point, the only thing we've known was that they only dated for a little bit. So I was like, why does this affect her so much? So clearly he died while they were together, blah, blah, blah. So that like really fucked her up. And I'm like, she's so nice. Like, why does Alex like have so much beef with her? I know she's been mean to her, but like what happened? And it's like Clarissa blaming Alex and all that stuff. So that was like my first inkling of being like, okay, there is a really good character underneath all of this.
Yes.
But then, now we're back in the house and everyone disperses to search for stuff, and you find,
and you go up to the attic,
which we already know the combination to the chest up there because we went in the basement already.
Yeah.
So that would have been really annoying if you didn't
having to go all the way down because you had to go down steps and then down steps. You had to go down a ladder, down steps, and then go all the way down to the basement.
Yeah, and we talked about this earlier. The characters are really slow. Like you walk so slow in this game. Anytime that Alex was scared and I got to run, I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
It's so much better.
It was just so like I was using my left stick to move, and it was just like holding it and holding it and holding it.
And then the worst is when, because it's like the paths aren't like automatic where it's just like you hold right and you go right. So sometimes you'd like bump into something and you're like, I have to like move the stick just to like go. It was like, one of my notes was like, I'm really hoping that the control scheme, because I played it on the backbone, so I basically played it controller, and I was like, I'm really hoping that the control scheme like lends itself to the game, and it never did. No. Like this game could have been a choice driven, like plot to plot. Like I like that they added in the exploration, the extra stuff you can do, but I was like, I wish it was more of a point and click where it's just like I click somewhere and she's there kind of thing, and it would make the game so much faster because there's no, like I was like, oh, there's got to be a time where you're like running. And stuff. No.
There's
there's no sequence of a chase or anything like that.
Yeah, that's the little thing, and that's a great thing to touch on right when we get into this I Spy game. Yeah, because Clarissa gets
again the controls terrible. Like for that, it's awful,
horrible.
So yeah, you get what is it? It's a tape, right? Or is that what do you get from the chest in the attic?
You get. Is it not the boat? No, it's not the boat keys. Is it the boat keys?
No, because something causes you to go back in the basement and watch stuff.
Yeah, I think it's. Oh, it was a letter.
That's right.
And it was like, oh, Anna and I used to go and watch the tapes and blah blah blah, and it pointed you to the basement.
Yeah, because you can go in the basement and you get the combination to the key,
and you look at the tapes, and
but you don't do anything.
You're like, oh wow, these are old tapes. And I wanted to watch the tapes because I was like, why would they put tapes here?
Yeah, I thought that was so weird.
Like
too.
What's it called?
Projector.
Camera.
Yeah.
But not let us watch the tapes.
I was like, bro, you're not gonna you're not interested in this at all.
And Jonas was with me. Yeah. And he was like, just leave it. Like we'll come back to it if we need to watch them. Yeah. And I was like, okay.
We'll be back. Yeah, that was literally. I was like, you're not gonna watch them? And then I was like, oh, okay.
And so we start heading back down, like to leave, and then everything goes crazy again. And Clarissa's like, you think you can leave?
Yeah.
Like.
And everyone's in a different room, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it doesn't matter where they are, but they're like in chairs.
Ren's in the top left, Nona's in the top right, and Jonas is in the bottom left.
Yeah.
And then you and Clarissa are in the bottom right.
Yeah.
And so.
And she's real possessed.
Like.
Really like messed up right now. Because she talks like clearly at this point. Yeah.
But through like it's clear, but it's not her voice.
It's not clear. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's not Clarissa's voice. It's like somebody else.
And at one point, it's a group talking, Yes. And that was terrifying.
Yeah, because there are different voices you hear throughout when they're talking, kind of like Bumblebee when they're going through
on the radio.
Yeah, through the radio. But it's clearly not like, it's clearly just different people. Yeah. It's not the actual radio. It's just kind of stylized like that. Mm-hmm. Because like there is no radio stations out there. There's exactly. There's 2 that work, and only one of them has like speaking stuff on it. But yeah, tell me about your experience with the I Spy game.
I hated it.
Me too.
I had to pause and look for a clue because I lost the first one. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't understand the second one. Mm-hmm. So I was down to my last life because they took Ren, then they took Nona, and all was left was Jonas.
Yep, that's exactly what happened to me.
And I was like, oh my God. No. They took Jonas. They took Ren and Jonas, and they left Nona for me.
Oh, really? Jonas was the last one for me.
No, it was the top 2, and then...
I wonder if it's which one you get right that determines that. Yeah.
No clue, but...
Because it was...
It was a knot.
Yeah, the first one was a TV.
Oh, yeah, a radiation, a knot, and then a picture of a memory.
Yeah. Because I thought I got the last one.
I got a picture of a memory, too.
Yeah, because I thought that the knot was the picture of a married couple, like tied the knot.
That was actually Anna and him and Maggie. It wasn't a married couple.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. I just saw that, but then I was like, oh, it's a picture. And so when the memory one came up, I was like, to the picture. Gotta go back there.
But so Clarissa gives you 10 seconds, and she starts counting down. And you go and you choose an item, and she'll say wrong, and then Ren just snaps out of existence. Yep. He's just gone.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, can you imagine if this, like, luckily this doesn't affect anything. You just have to make it through. But can you imagine if those characters just died and they're just gone? I would be so mad because this is like unforgiving. Yeah. Like already I'm on my fucking phone, and 2, like the art direction is good and it's stylized, but it's stylized, so I don't even know what anything is in this room. And like, I wouldn't think like, oh yeah, radiation from the TV.
Yeah,
like,
I thought radiation was the
I thought microwave.
I went to the kitchen.
Yeah.
And it was like there was an interactable, and I didn't read what it was. I just saw it, and I was like, click it.
Yeah.
And she was like, wrong. Yeah. I was like, oh fuck.
And then poof, he's gone.
And he's gone. And then she's like, a symbol of a knot, and I couldn't figure it out, so I just clicked a random thing. Yeah. And it was wrong. And then no.
What was it? Do you remember?
It was this little picture up in where Ren was, and it was blue, and it was just like,
oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, intertwining. And so I paused it, and I was like, Oxenfree I Spy answers. Yeah. And it was like, the last one she should ask is a
memory.
A memory. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get myself ready now.
Yeah.
So that I can run up the stairs, because you walk so slow.
Yeah.
And
you'd think this would be the one time she has a little bit of a hustle.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, by the way, so she counts down from 10. Mm-hmm. I was running out of time. I wasn't running out of time. I was like at like 6. Mm-hmm. But I was like, if I want to get the rest of these, I got to hustle. Yeah. So I click it, wrong. I go to the next one, and she starts from 6. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Yeah. And so I just click another one, wrong, and I'm at 5. And I'm slowly walking upstairs, slowly making a right turn to click on this freaking picture. Yeah. And it's like 3, 2, and then I click the picture on 1. And I was like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah, it was so fast. It was so bad. And I was like, oh my God. And then so you get through there, and then Clarissa leaves again. Right?
Yeah, she just runs away.
There's another creepy thing that happens, and then she leaves, and then everyone's.
You rewind all the tapes, and
exactly.
and she's gone.
There's 2 of them in this one, right?
There's 2, and then a third one appears in the middle.
That's right.
And then everyone comes back, and Jonas is like, "Never do that again. It feels like spiders crawled out of my mouth."
Yeah,
and I was like, "Wow!" Like he was. Because before that, they were unaware. They were like... No,
they do establish at one point that they do remember how it feels.
They're like, let's not try to get possessed anymore, because this sucks. Yeah. But then he was like, never do this again. Like, it feels like I got hit by a tow truck.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, oh my God, they feel it. That's crazy. Like, I didn't think that at all, that they would be able to feel anything. Then you go down to the basement once everybody's like pulled themselves together. You go into the basement and watch the film, and then what is on the film again? Remind me.
It's at first it was just a picture of a baby, and everyone's like, we're just watching home videos.
Yeah.
And then it goes on to the disappearance of the USS Kahaloa.
Yeah.
Kaloa.
Kalaloa or something like that. Yeah.
And
it's named after a Hawaiian location, I believe.
Yeah.
Or a tribe of some kind.
But it talks about the disappearance and how like the souls are still lost at sea and blah blah blah. And then that's like your first like, oh.
Yeah.
This is what's been haunting us.
Yeah, they make the connection that like all the people on there are the like spirits.
The demon that's been coming after you.
Exactly. And then after that, that's when you have the conversation of like, okay, do we leave? Like we have the boat, like, or do we go find Clarissa? Like,
and I chose find Clarissa.
Yeah, of course.
Because I was like, I'm not about to leave.
Well, because we just had recently the like past interaction where you're like, there's something good there. Like there's a good person there.
And she was so sweet. So like, I gotta go find her.
Exactly.
And where do we go after that?
That is when you have to go. I think this is when they show that's when they decide to do the bunker.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a bunker that you can pass by a couple different times throughout the game that there's really, I think there's a little info thing next to it.
Right
but
next
basically
to it.
Just says it's a
bumper. There's 60 feet walls.
Yeah,
it's
a bomb shelter.
Yeah. It was for nuclear fallout.
Exactly. So
it goes down like 600 feet.
And the only way to
open it is through going to the comm tower and sending an alarm.
Not even the comm tower. It's a location in the forest.
Oh yeah, it's the cabin.
It's the top left corner of the map, and you have to send a location. So what you do is like Nona and Ren stay, and you and Jonas go. And then as you're going, I totally went the wrong way.
Me too. First. I had to go around, and then
but when I went down, that was when they showed Ren drowning.
Yes.
To me, and I was like, well, I'm going to go check on him. And so I do. And I tell him, I'm like, again, I want to be completely blunt whenever something happens. I'm like, hey, just had a vision of you dying. Just so you know, stay away from water, even though we're on an island. And then that happens.
I went back over to him because I was just lost. And I was like, I know if I go left from the bunker instead of right, the way I did, I'll get there quicker. So I went all the way and I looped back up to Ren, and they were like, did you guys not be able to get up there? Like, what happened? And I decided to keep it quiet.
Really? Okay.
Because my thought was, he's high. He's already scared.
I feel like he would have sobered up after the possession. I feel like the adrenaline would have dumped all of the drugs out of his system.
But so, like, I was like, he'd been on drugs. He's already scared. He's only with Nona, who, to my knowledge, is just like
a nothing character.
She's like just this sweet, like shy girl. And I was like, respectfully, Nona's not going to be able to do much if he starts freaking out.
Yeah.
Like, she can hug him and comfort him, but that's it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I was like, oh, nothing. We just got lost. And he was like, how'd you get lost? You've been here multiple times. And I just walked away.
That's so funny. Yeah, no, I like straight up told him. And
how'd he respond to that?
He was fine. Like, he seemed fine with it, and that he was like basically just like going to be careful. And like Alex was more panicked than anything, that she had the vision that he was drowning. And then that was when I had the similar vision to what you were talking about, where he fell.
Well, I saw that too when he fell from the bridge into the water. But when I had the time loop, he was falling onto rocks.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing that. I could have just blanked that out. But yeah, for me it was like, yeah, he fully like,
and you were under the water, like you were walking on the bottom, right?
Yes, yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, so basically then you get to I'm trying to remember if there's any other points, because like we're kind of getting towards the end here.
There's a point where Jonas was like, I need a pee.
That's right. That was in Fort Milner, wasn't it?
I can't remember.
I think it's in Fort Milner because you're indoors.
I remember it was indoors.
Yeah.
And I told him to go into the corner.
Yeah, so did I.
And then I told him to pee quieter.
Yes. Yeah. That was very interesting because it was raining, and which was happening at Fort Milner. So I think that was I
just remembered it now.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. But then we work our way up into the forest. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that happened at that point, because
there was a point where I found like a shortcut, and you have to jump.
Yeah.
And Jonas is like, why'd you do that? Like,
yeah.
Oh, we used to do this all the time
because you
as
jump
we were
in
kids.
all the other times you jump in the game, you
land gracefully.
Yeah, but this one
time you deck yourself in the ribs.
Yeah,
with the mountain.
Yeah, and pull yourself up. So I was like, oh my god. Yeah, I had the same reaction that Jonas did. I was like, I didn't think I could actually do that. But yeah, that was really cool. That was when I discovered it too, was that way. And then you make it over there. I'm trying to think if there was any incident that happens, because the next...
Isn't there a flashback? Because then Jonas is like, dude, are you okay?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because you do have he mentioned something about I just remembered what the one, at least it was with Nona for me. She says something about my jacket, and that's when you get sent back for the
Why
first.
are you wearing a jacket? It's 70 degrees out.
Yeah, and you're like, what? And then you get flashback to the beach scene with Michael and Clarissa. But then this next one was with just Michael, I think. The flashback, right?
Yeah, he's talking about moving out.
Yeah, he's talking about, you're at the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you're back at the house, and that's when you're you just get more information that's when you find out that he's planning on moving out with Clarissa. And for me, I was very supportive of it, because at that point I was like, yeah, to me, I was like, none of this matters. It's all flashbacks. You're not affecting anything. So it was oh yeah, yeah, it sounds great. Cool. If you're happy, great, awesome, do this, all that. It was another nice scene. It was really cool. Do you remember?
Got to conversate in that?
Yeah.
My conversations in the flashbacks happened later at the end of the game.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had some responses on that one. I might be mixing it up, but there's because it was just with the one with Clarissa, where you're actually talking with her about,
Well, I was able to conversate, but not influence.
Yeah. Well, at that point, I didn't think there was any influence.
Mine was why am I here? Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, Michael. Mm-hmm. And just regular sibling talk. Mm-hmm. It wasn't if you're happy, it was just oh, that's cool.
No, I definitely had some kind of, I guess maybe my my decision path led it to, because I basically, at that point, every time a flashback was happening, I was not being shocked by it. I was responding like I was in the scene. Mm-hmm. So I was just there was no weird, what are you talking about? It was just acting like normal kind of thing. So maybe that's why.
That only happened for me at the end.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I think that happened to me when I was at the house.
And all those flashbacks happened back to back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's 3 that happened back to back. But yeah, so that happens. And then you make it to the comm tower, or not the comm tower, the it's the little cabin.
Radio station.
Yeah, radio station. And then you send the thing, and then after that you go back, and that's when you find out that you walk up on Nona and Ren talking, and they're they say something oh, we gotta keep Nona asked to keep it to just between them, and I was like, keep what between you guys? Tell me. We can't keep secrets right now. We're being hunted by ghosts. So what is the secret? Did you do the same thing?
No, I just said, hey guys, and that was it.
No, that's when Ren's we're going on a date.
Yay!
So they're we're going on a date, and or we're date. He goes, we're dating, and I was like, oh, nice. And Nona's yeah, we're
going on a date.
On a date, and he's yeah, but that's the start. He's all excited and stuff. And then we take a picture, we all take a picture there. And then after that, that's when you go into the bunker, and that's basically the sprint to the end of the game.
Yeah.
It's one, because
this is where everything
Jonas even says
closes up.
He does the classic NPC thing of oh, if you have anything else you need to do it now. Because if you go through,
because we can't come back out of here.
There's no coming back. And I was oh, okay, and I was nah, I'm good. I'm gonna just go.
I'm just gonna finish this game.
Yeah. And so Do you have a good memory of like how everything ended?
I remember. Well, I only remember my last sequence of the flashbacks because then it pushed me back out into the real world.
Yeah.
But I don't remember most. I remember Jonas was like, there was the tape recorders.
There's a room with 3 tape recorders. Yeah.
And you start doing it, and he's like, "This is the song that my mom sang to me before she died."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Mom,
Yeah.
Mom," and he starts going crazy.
Yeah, and you can try to convince him to come with you or
go to his mom.
Yeah.
There was go with you, go to his mom, or just talk to his mom.
Yeah.
And I told him to talk to his mom.
Yeah.
I was like, you can talk to her, but don't you dare leave me.
Okay, so he was with you towards the end of the game? No, I let him go.
Really?
I was alone by the end of the game because that was what the reflection self said when he's given the opportunity to go to his mom, let him go to his mom.
It was distorted for me, and I didn't have headphones on, and the caption didn't appear.
Gotcha.
And I need captions.
Yeah, no, the voice was telling, like the other you told you to let Jonas go with his mom. So I was like, all right, this is it. I was wondering when this was going to come up. Go right ahead, Jonas. And so I went in by myself. So what was your experience with the ending?
He just stood. He stood around while I did the tape recorders. And then after the tape recorders, Alex starts like kind of going off the edge and collapses. And then that's where all of my flashbacks started.
Gotcha.
Where I was talking to
we
Michael.
go through a door, right? And then that's when
the door opens.
Yeah, after the tape recorders, the door opens, and then that's when I went through that door by myself. Like by that time, Jonas was gone.
Well, Jonas was like, Alex, Alex, and I just walked because I was like, door open.
Yeah,
let's go.
Gotcha. So then that's when you go underwater, right? Like you have the flashbacks, and then you go underwater, and then the game basically.
I didn't go underwater after that.
Huh.
I just had flashbacks, and then I woke up on a boat.
Oh.
So
the end boat? Like the end like sequence and everything that ends
once
with the
I got
picture?
the flashbacks, I finished the game.
Interesting. Okay.
So I go through the flashbacks, and I'm talking. It's like the flashbacks from before.
Yeah.
But I have more say in it. And so at first it's Clarissa, me, and Michael. And she's like, "Are you okay with me dating him?" And I chose like, "Yeah, of course."
Yeah.
And, everything's like fine. And that's the end of that scene. And then it turns white. And then the next scene is you and Michael at the house. And I convinced him to stay in Washington or in Oregon instead of going out to California.
Yeah, I fucked up there because I chose there's another option because I didn't understand the reason he left, and I guess I thought he was going to go to school. There was the option of going out of state to school or go to school there, and I chose the school one. So I guess I fucked up there. But I looked into it, and there's like a couple other things I did wrong anyways, so it wouldn't have mattered for the ending wise. And then there's a third one. So what happens at the third one? I forget. Is there a third one, or is it just the 2?
Hold on.
Because what I remember is afterwards, after these flashbacks, you're underwater, and you have another triangle that you have to tune. And you rip open the fabric of reality, basically. And then it's communicating with you. And so basically you tune to the triangles again, make the big triangle. The ghosts are talking to you.
Yes, because you have to choose.
Yeah, the portal opens up, and it's like, you can leave.
And we keep Clarissa.
Clarissa, yeah.
Or
you break this, and you like ruin everything. That was all underwater when that was happening.
I thought that was in the cave.
It was either in the cave or under, like it started in the cave. And
I thought it was in the cave because I saw the armoire, and then there was a weird chair too.
Yeah, that's right. We forgot to mention just fucking chairs and shit start showing up throughout the island that were not there. And you can just like sit on it, and you can like freak Jonas out with stuff. It's so funny. But yeah, at that point, you get the option of like, yeah, you can leave Clarissa, or you can break the triangle, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Did you remember if there was a third?
I couldn't find it.
It was just the 2 flashbacks.
Probably.
Because I remember the last one being.
It was. I think why I got it confused with 3 flashbacks was because it was the house one was like you walked through the hallway in the house.
That's right. You do cross over into
a different room.
To the attic. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that one as well. And so yeah, we get to the point where it's like you versus the ghost, basically.
Yeah.
And making a decision of walking through the red evil portal or breaking their whatever.
Their little triangle.
Yeah. What did you do?
I chose to break through the triangle because I was like, you're not keeping Clarissa.
Yeah,
like, as
same.
much as her and I had a horrible, like, interaction right now,
Yeah.
she's still the person.
Yeah. So, and then that's the end of the game, right? Because after that, you wake up on the boat.
Yeah.
Tell me about your boat ending.
So, my boat ending was Michael was alive.
Yes, I didn't get that.
Michael was alive. Clarissa was there. Jonas was there, but he was Ren's weird friend.
Yes, I know. I looked into that and I was like, that's crazy.
And I was like, and there was a point where I could ask Jonas, I was like, do you not remember me?
Oh, I just realized we totally missed the part where one of my favorite parts, which is you go back in time.
Oh yeah, and you get to tell past you
all the answers.
Hey, tell Jonas to go talk to his mom.
So those 3 times
that you saw the thing in the mirror was yourself. Yes,
and based off of what happens, we'll get to it. I'm pretty sure that changes every time you play the game. So yeah, you had Ren and Jonas were the relation. They're friends.
Yeah.
Michael was alive.
Clarissa was like happy. Nona was happy. And they asked me if I was going to prom. And I was like, no, I don't think so. Like, I'd only go if I had someone to go with.
Yeah.
And they're like, you should go for yourself.
Yeah.
And Clarissa was like, I'll take you prom dress shopping. It'll be a girl's day.
I had that same interaction, yeah, with her and Nona were the thing. And yeah, so I got the things I got was Michael was still dead. Nona and Ren were together. I didn't say anything about Ren and Jonas being friends, and then Clarissa was alive. Was basically my ending.
Yeah.
And then I was like, one of the selection things is what fucked me up because it was like, oh yeah, Michael stayed dead. And I was like, stayed dead? What are you talking about? That was an option that he could come back. And I was thinking about it, and we can kind of discuss it a little bit later. But I was like, it's cool that you can bring him back, but it feels more real to keep him dead.
It was really weird when I came back and he was there because I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, because...
And then Jonas didn't know who I was and wasn't talking to me like the way he was 5 minutes before that. So I was like, what's happening? And then they said, and they
started doing the introductions.
They're like, shut up, Michael. And I was like, Michael?
Yeah, you're like, what? Yeah, so for me, I got that same thing. And then, except Michael was dead. And I was just like, huh.
I asked them, I was like, do you guys not remember what just happened? And then Clarissa was like, honey, are you okay?
Yeah.
And I was like, and Alex was like, why are you here? And she goes, did you not want me here? Like, I could have stayed on like the shore. And Alex was like,
did you still have blue hair?
Yep.
Okay.
Alex is just, I was bewildered.
That would have been cool if they didn't have you have blue hair,
brown hair again. That would have been,
you're like, immediately you'd be like, what is wrong? Like, like that would have actually been really cool.
But yeah, I think that that changed my view of Clarissa because like she was
nice.
She was nice at the end. She was like I'll chill.
Well, she was like how she was in the flashback.
In the flashback, she was nice.
For me, since Michael was still dead, there wasn't really like a resolution where she was like super
why
nice.
She
wasn't
nice.
mean. Like she was better, but it was like, yeah, this girl just went through more trauma. Of course, she's not going to be like any better than she was before. But then like, yeah, you go through the credits, there's one last picture. And for me on the phone, it showed percentages of like what everyone chose kind of thing. And for most of them, I think I was in the majority with everybody else. And then the thing that like really like I was like kind of iffy on the ending, if I'm being honest, like the latter half of the game. I was like, this feels like it's wrapping up entirely too fast.
Yeah, it felt like they put too much time in the beginning.
Yes.
And not enough in the end.
They like set up all of this world building and then
they realized that they did not have enough like space to finish it, so they were like, let's just pile everything on
into the Adler mansion. Like everything was there.
Yeah.
Like it was all there, all the info. There wasn't even like you had to find all the letters and you had to deal, like that would have been part, like a cooler part to like really understand what was happening. But they really tied a nice bow on it at the end when the credits are rolling. And then right at the end, there's the distortion. Mm-hmm. And then the conversation that Renz has at the beginning of the game starts over. Again. And I was like, no fucking way. They're still in a loop. That's so cool. And
it's like Groundhog Day.
Yeah. And so that's when the game's, you can go. Did you start the game over again at all?
No, I just finished.
I did. I was like, I'm so curious. So I went back in and you have different dialogue options.
Really?
Yes. Because Alex remembers everything that happened. So like there are definitely, she's like, this is weird. Like I remember, she just doesn't remember like everything perfectly, but there's different dialogue options. There's different things to interact with all of a sudden on the boat. Because at first there was just like a water fountain and stuff.
There was bench, upstairs, bridge, water fountain.
Yeah. And then you could actually talk about the captain. I don't know if you could in the beginning.
You were able to.
Okay, because I didn't see that at first. But yeah, you're able to say different things because you're like, this is like, and so what I'm thinking is now if I go through the game again, which apparently there is a way to break the loop, but it's not the way the game works is that there's always an Alex stuck in the loop.
Oh.
But somebody, like, if you do everything perfectly, and I think you have to do it on a second playthrough, you can get an Alex out of the loop fully as, like, the true ending. Mm-hmm. But that Alex, like, it's not you. Like,
but it's a Alex.
You get another Alex out of the loop kind of thing. And so what I'm curious is now if I go through, will those answers in the mirror be different? Because I chose one of them wrong, technically. So I'm like, oh, that's very interesting. So yeah, the whole game is a loop and you can play through it again.
I didn't restart the game. Mm-hmm. I just like, I saw the credits and I heard the dialogue start again. And so I was like, okay, cool. Like,
it's never ending. Yeah.
I was like, cool. Like it's gonna continue on. Like once I'm done playing, that's kind of sick.
Yeah.
And then I just turned off my Switch because I was like, I'm done.
Yeah. No. So I was like, I gotta go back in. And so I went back in and she's like, well, this is weird. Like I've done this before. And like, I was like, no fucking way. That's so cool. So yeah, you do have like slightly different dialogue options apparently when you go through.
That's sick.
Well, yeah, that's the game.
That's the game. We talked about it in full.
Yeah, basically. Like, I mean, this was like another Edith Finch where it's like we can touch on like every single thing that happens.
But it's also a very, you need to experience this.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not like, there's not theories or anything. It's you know.
It's very cut and dry.
Yeah, it's not like with Edith Finch where we can have a bunch of theories and stuff. But overall, I think this would make a really good like animated show. But I also think maybe if the choices do actually matter in a way, it might make it a little complicated to make it an animated show of some kind. But I do think with the voice acting, with the set design, with all that stuff, it could make a really cool show.
Yeah.
But overall, like, what did you feel? Like,
I loved this game. I think, like, I'm definitely going to go back and play it again. Because you get at least, like, 2 dialogue options. And there's like thousands of times that you get to say something.
Yeah.
So the possibilities are practically like
and then with
infinite.
the replay, yeah, if you have different like
dialogue
and then
the entire time, like
there's a lot of the Maggie Adler stuff that's left over and like all of the anomalies
and the pictures.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, so there's definitely a lot of replay value. I definitely really enjoyed this, especially because it was free. But I definitely like. It was very interesting to hear that you were like so spooked out by this game because I was like I loved the spooky vibe, but it never like crescendoed in the way that I wanted it to.
I was also alone in my room and I have blackout curtains in my room, which made it dark.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I just think it like I was like, man, I want it to be a little creepier. like just a little bit creepier. And I wanted there to be more mystery. It felt like there was like, oh yeah, we have no idea what's going to happen. And it's like, oh, okay, here's all the answers. I was like, what do you mean? Here's all the answers. And then like Alex talking to the ghosts, like knowing that it's people and like all that other stuff. And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. But I'm like, it feels like unearned. Like we rushed here kind of thing. So I'm hoping that with Oxenfree 2, which is called Lost Signals, which I don't think is a sequel, but knowing them, it might be based off of like the twist ending. It might be a sequel. Oh, here's a good question of the episode. If you've made it this far, do you want us to play Oxenfree 2, like ASAP, or do you want us to move on to a new game? I'm cool with either. Maybe next year we can, when there's more information out there on Oxenfree 2, we can play through that one. But yeah, that's the question for sure. Definitely worth playing. If you have a Netflix account, it's free. Definitely play it. Do you have anything else you want to add before we close out?
Well, I just searched up what, like, if Oxenfree 2 is like an actual sequel, if it's just like bouncing off the idea. The first one I read gave me no like help. It said, now we have Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals, which is an ideal sequel. It's another creepy adventure that stands on its own. Okay. So I'm like, okay, then it's not. But then I kept looking. It said Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals picks up 5 years after the first game. Huh. So
I think that person was just saying it stands on its own, like you could play it on its own.
But it is like an ideal sequel because it does bounce off of Alex.
Cool. All right. Now I'm more interested. So maybe we'll look into playing that.
We'll dip our toes in Halloween.
Yes. I know there's so many spooky games I want to play. But yeah, I have nothing else to add. I think it was really good. I think everybody, this was a pretty beefy one. So I think everybody should go play this.
Yes,
and I definitely enjoyed it.
I really liked it. I had a lot of fun. There was on my second session. I was on FaceTime with my boyfriend. And I was like, "Oh, this is scary. Oh, this is scary." And like just watching someone else play it, I think would be really funny.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, maybe that's what we can do with Oxenfree 2. We can actually play that one together, or we can come back and have, because from the little information that How Long to Beat has, the game looks like it's like 6 or 7 hours, but that's not like confirmed yet, because it's the way How Long to Beat works is like it's everyone putting in their input. So somebody could beat it in 3 hours, somebody could beat it in 5,
and then there's the outliers like me who beat it in like 12.
Yeah, so like there's longer and shorter ones. So that's where the information's not there yet, but we could probably figure it out pretty soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, please follow, subscribe, whichever.
Give us that 5-star rating on
Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Yeah. And leave a review, like an actual review on Apple Podcasts. That helps quite a bit. Share us around, because word of mouth is the best way for the channel to grow. And you can follow us on Instagram now, which is Short Long Pod, and on Twitter still Short Long Pod. I don't think I've made a Threads yet. Maybe I did. I don't know.
No, you have not.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't know if I'll go there, but we're on Instagram, fairly active. Polls and interest stuff all the time on there. So follow us there. It'll be the best way to interact with us. And then we will. I don't know what's next on the docket. We might do Oxenfree 2. We might do another game separately that we haven't thought about yet. But this was definitely a fun experience to have 2 different experiences come together for one.
Yeah, I really liked the playing separate and then coming back together. I think this will be very good when I'm in college.
Exactly. It'll be. I'm glad it worked out, because now we'll be able to do this more often. But yeah, that'll do it for another episode of Short Game Long Talk. I hope you enjoyed it. This was definitely a longer one, and if you made it all the way to the end, congratulations. But that'll do it for us, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Later. That's a new opening sound.
Yeah, that's for me in the future. because I'm gonna forget about this by tomorrow and be like, oh fuck, a hand fart right in the middle of the. Or maybe this will be the bonus time at the end. You'll hear my hand farts. Okay.
My hand farts aren't as good because they're dry.